Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina. We're here on an awesome Saturday night. Joining me tonight is Anthony Pitbull Canatella, Carrie Pocket Doc Davis, and Matt from Supernatural Spectrum has jumped in tonight. He is our guest, and his mother will be joining us from the NonnaBoss Continuum. She'll be here shortly, and I think we're going to have a hell of a conversation tonight. Matt, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel, and what brought you into this field.
Well, I mean, to start, hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I actually started doing the podcast stuff because I personally felt like there wasn't enough people who were trying to put everything together. You know, there's a lot of people who are, you know, they have their shows about the Dogman, they have their shows about the paranormal, they have their shows about the UFOs and the Bigfoot. And, you know, I felt like I wanted to do something that was more inclusive, bringing all these different pieces of all the major phenomena together and see if they correlated. And that's also kind of what I do with my research. I am a South Florida researcher. There's a couple good areas around here for just about anything you want to. Hey, you want to look into ghosts? I got some spots. You want to look, you know, and that's kind of how we roll. You know, me and my mom, we do a lot of stuff together. But I also do personal things that I work on, as far as trying out different technical pieces, and I'm trying to not reveal too much, but I want to reveal so much. I tried everything out. Like, I try applying paranormal research techniques to Bigfoot investigations, and I try and apply paranormal techniques into ufology. Like, I try to mix it up. I feel like there is a need for new techniques, new magic, and not just the same sort of walking out in the woods, knock on some trees, do a couple howls, sit and wait. I think it's been kind of played out at this point, and and I kind of felt like the same thing was happening with the online community too, which is why I wanted to get involved, because I shared with you guys a little bit before the show. I've been sober for 12 years. I used to be a part of 12 step programs, and I feel like being of service to other people, and it's vital to life. It's vital. If you can't be good and kind and try and find your niche in life to do better for not just yourself and your family, but for the world, I just don't feel like I'm doing it right if I'm not.
It's a great way to look at it, man. It really is.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. I know there's a lot of other people out there who are struggling way worse than I am. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm super rich and I'm all set up in life, because I'm not. I'm only 30 years old. And, if I was, that would be a fucking miracle. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
The F barrier has been broken. We are free to navigate.
4 minutes in.
It's usually Doc.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I'll be honest with you.
You're fine, man.
It's been a really long day for me today. It was funny because when Anthony sent me the link, I was like, hey man, I might be a little bit late. So today was my daughter's birthday party. I had a ton of people all over that. Thank you. I had a ton of people over. Will do. It's just been a busy day. I haven't even eaten yet all day. I've just been like, go time. It's go. But one of the things that got me into this is that I actually had a childhood encounter back in the year 2000, and right around that time is when things started picking up for me. I started a little bit later on in my teens. I started having experiences with UFOs and extraterrestrial contact. I ended up having several different encounters with what I call a shadow entity. And other paranormal things would happen in our home whenever I was out, this stuff kind of just always followed me around. It wasn't until I got older and my mom and I started, once I moved out and, we started having more conversations about, hey, listen, like this stuff happens to me. And she's like, oh yeah, well, this stuff's been happening to me my whole life too. And and we kind of bonded over that, and she was the one who showed me that there was this, online community for this stuff. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was, ghost adventures, finding Bigfoot, ancient aliens. Like that's kind of where like I've always started with my, aliens, and that's where I, that's where I got my start, man. Like as as far as like, keeping my interest in like where I was as far as like knowledge on the subject matter. And it was last year that we decided that we were going to go try our very first like boots on the ground, get in the woods and do something with a group of researchers. And we went out with Stacy Brown. He held an event out in Myakka State Park at the Crowley Nature Museum. And sure enough, it was like that entire weekend we had paranormal stuff, like crazy paranormal stuff, like stuff getting thrown across rooms, like, EVPs, like you name it. We were running that gauntlet. We ended up having a UFO sighting the first night with, which was followed up by a real nice, like almost Ohio howl later on. And a couple hours later, I want to say it was the next day, we found hair prints, like just it was my mom had like a coconut or something fly by her head, get thrown at her in the middle while she was walking back to the camp at one point. It was just nuts. It was bonkers. And I was like, because I had said to Stacy before, before I had reservations, right? Because I've had not so pleasant encounters with all these strange things in my life. Actually, the most pleasant one that I've had, I can say, was actually when I encountered that Bigfoot all those years ago. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I said to him, I was like, hey, man, listen, I have reservations about going. I want to make sure that, me and my mom are going to be safe, this, that, whatever. And his answer to me was, oh, dude, we'll be lucky if we see like 2 orbs. That's it. And I was like, oh, that's it? Oh, that's not nothing to be worried about. He's like, yeah, we'll just go out, hang out, have a good time. And, it was crazy. And, that's only fueled me into the subject more. I definitely believe that there is a larger phenomenon and that these cryptids and ghosts and spirits and entities of all types are just a symptom of a larger phenomenon. And that's what I truly believe. And that's what I truly try to investigate. I'm trying to make contact with whatever higher consciousness is out there that is putting all this stuff here. I know some people like to call that thing God and, the universe, the creator, whatever your name for it is, that's fine. But there is something that's magically happening behind the scenes. And I think we see that in our world every day. It's not just in the cryptid community. And I try to honor that. And I try to acknowledge those signs in my life and investigate it and be curious and allow the spark to be ignited within me. That being said, I try to do my best to also be scientifically grounded. When I capture evidence, I try to have it vetted before I release it. I'll send it to like 5 or 10 of my good friends that I know that are either way more experienced than I am at what I'm looking at, or they're actual scientists of some sort of degree, or they can get it to a scientist who can study it for me. Mm-hmm. I don't just release things. Because one of the things that I do notice is that there are a lot of people who, granted, listen, you get a piece of evidence and, you have that real life experience and you're super excited to share stuff. And I understand that. I just think it's a whole different animal when you post it and share it and be like, this is hard evidence. This is real. Like this, I just don't roll with that, man. I've been around a lot of different, bounced around between a lot of different teams, got to feel what that's like being a part of different groups within the community. I've done stuff with one of the biggest paranormal, groups here. I've also done stuff with one of the biggest Sasquatch researchers in my area. I try to be as eclectic and get with as many different minds as I can. And a cool part about doing a show is that I get to talk to all kinds of different people from all these different genres every week. And I also get to share that information, not just with, my family, my friends, and I get to share that with the world. And like just, no, not last week, the week before, I had Ron Moorhead on. And we had one of the most amazing conversations, man, that I've
Ron's
ever.
really cool
Yeah, dude, he's amazing, and I had no clue that he was gonna get like so down to earth with me, And I feel good knowing that, like
last year, I think it was. He fantastic guest.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that was like a bucket list item, because everybody knows about Ron Moorhead. You see him on like 50 different thousand shows because he's so famous. Hey, there she is.
Hello.
What's up,
guys?
Mom?
How's it going?
We're doing well, folks. Well, we're fortunate she's here in the house tonight. Marty from the NonnaBoss Continuum. Ma'am, thank you for joining us. You want to introduce yourself and tell everybody about a little bit about yourself?
I'm Matt's mom.
Well, there's more to it than that.
There's way more.
Not really.
No.
Oh no. I'm just blessed that I have I feel so blessed to be here on your show. I literally my guest couldn't make it tonight that I had booked for my show tonight, and I'm blessed to have a friend like Connor and say literally 2 minutes before and say, can you join me literally right now? And he came right on. And I'm just humbled by those kind of things. I'm humbled by being here right now. And I'm humbled by being Matt's mom. I'll tell you, I love watching everything he does and what he does. And it's amazing to me. And he has just been able to just take it so far, and I love it, and I'm so excited about it.
Well, we're happy to have you here, and I think you're being incredibly modest. I just posted the link to both your channel and Matt's. Folks, those links I just posted in the chat.
Thank you.
Check those out. They both got great videos. Make sure you like and subscribe to their channels. Share them with everybody you know that likes this kind of content, because they're definitely worth checking out.
Thank you.
No problem.
And for the record, man, my mom is like one of my biggest guinea pigs. I say, hey, I want to go try this experiment. Like, you want to do it for me? Because I have to film it. So she like just this not this past Friday, but the Friday before. Which actually ended up yielding amazing results. I made these goggles. They're more like safety goggles is what the base of it was that I created. And what these goggles are supposed to do is that they are going to stimulate your eyes in a way that causes not only sensory deprivation, but it's also sending red light into your pineal gland and into your eye receptors through your eyelids. So the idea is that it's supposed to recreate very similar to what people experience during UFO contact hypnosis regression. Mm-hmm. One of the things that people are constantly sharing in their stories is that they're seeing either flashes of lights before their eyes, or in a way that like they're on a subway train, or like TV screens moving in front of their eyes. And so that was kind of the idea behind it, because there has to be some sort of key that we can unlock with frequency and light and sound. So I built these goggles, and I tried them in I did this crazy experiment where I got into an uncrossing bath, which if you're involved with the occult, you might know what that is. But it's just like cleansing you and creating like a perfectly good space around you to be able to do the experiment. And I did the experiment for myself, and it was crazy. It was crazy. I was not, you can take my word, whatever, I know that people are going to say like, oh yeah, you're just saying you had an experience, and that's fine. But, I experienced this. I like traveled the cosmos. I was dwelling in caves, like so many crazy different things. And I could go on for a whole show and talk about that stuff.
Now, he didn't tell me that part until after. He's like, hey, Mom, you want to do this thing?
And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll try it.
I'm like, yeah, all right, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So anyway, we went out and we tried it. So one of the things that we do while you're wearing the goggles is that you also do like an Estes method session, right, at the same time. So not only are your eyes being stimulated and deprived of your regular light spectrum, you're also having the only thing you can hear is white noise.
Mm-hmm.
So we had an interesting experience trying an Estes method. What was it, about like a month ago, Ma?
Yeah, a little. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a month ago. So my thought was okay. So I'm going to try and ask some more direct questions in regards to that session, because that session was really weird. So I'm sitting there trying to stir this thing up and ask some more questions, and it was kind of, everything was kind of, hey, yes, she's the coolest mom. I am so grateful and blessed. I really am. But yeah. So the next thing I know, like the atmosphere kind of changed a little bit, because she's sitting there and she can't hear nothing and she can't see nothing, and I'm alone out there in the darkness. And I heard some movement off to my right, and then I heard some Bigfoot howls off in the distance, and I'm like, okay, this is starting to get good. So she says, look up, look in the sky, look up. And I'm like, I'm looking up straight up above me, and this is just the idiot that I am, right? I'm looking up above me, and I keep seeing, and I don't see anything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Can you be more specific? And then she said, look to the sky one more time, and I just started turning around and looking, and I seen one of the coolest UFOs, and I caught it on film.
That's cool.
It was like it was a bunch of different lights all together, and they were like snaking across the sky, and it was super cool. It was awesome, man.
And I missed it.
And she missed it. Because I had her on camera, because she's part of my experiment, and
I had no idea.
I couldn't pull her out of it.
Yeah,
and it was
in there like 10 more minutes.
Yeah, I did. Look, listen. I gave her the 411. I said, listen, like, this is what could possibly happen and go wrong, et cetera, et cetera. This is you got to do it for at least 40 minutes. Like, you have to do it, because you have to wear it for 20 minutes before you start asking the questions, and you get 20 minutes of and it was really cool, because at the end it was like some sort of strange message was actually given to us through that. I'm going to be making a whole video for it on YouTube eventually. I got so much stuff that I'm working on right now. I'm working on 2 different films right now. One of them's more or less like a short film talking about stories of the Panhandle and things like that. And then I have my main documentary that I'm working on, which, I've kind of talked about it a little bit. It's about coming in and diving headfirst into all these different things and trying to get answers, and where that led me to. I actually have a trailer up for it on my channel if you want to check it out. I have the trailer for the Panhandle documentary premiering tomorrow. But it's been a really fun ride. It's been a really fun ride. What do you think, Mom?
I think it's been a great ride. I'm always up for anything. I'm always like, oh yeah, all right, that's cool. Let's go do it. Like,
yeah,
I enjoy it.
So what actually, Marty, what actually got you into the paranormal, into the Bigfoot and the cryptids and all of that?
Well, oh my goodness, I don't even. I had a sighting in the mid '80s. My first husband was Matt's dad. We used to go out on the levees out into the Everglades. He used to love to look for snakes, and you always go at nighttime because that's when they're coming up to the levees, to get heat, right? So and you just kind of drive down the levee with your lights on real slow, and you're just looking for snakes that come across the road. So we were on a levee, and just outside of our headlights, I see something black come up, but it looked like it was on all fours, kind of.
Mhm.
And I literally, I just thought it was a bear. I was like, oh my God, look at that bear. And then as soon as it kind of came up onto the top of the levee, it just kind of like turned its head towards us. And all I could see was red glowing eyes. It wasn't eye shine. It was not eye shine. It was red glowing eyes. And then it started to kind of stand up and took one step and was off the other side of the levee in one step. And I said, back up. And I'm like, get it in reverse. Cause on a levee down here in Florida, you drive out so far, you got to go all the way to the end to turn around to come back. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going down there. I'm like, you just reverse it all the way back because we're not going down that way. So that was the very first thing that I was kind of like, whoa, what is this? What was this thing? It was not a panther. We don't have black panthers here because it was solid black. And I knew that it was something, but I didn't know exactly what, right? So I was always interested in Sasquatch as from a kid. I saw some movies when I was a kid, and it just sparked my interest. And paranormal, I've always had paranormal experiences. I've always had ET experiences. I've always had, all kinds of weird things, had a lot of ghosts, all kinds of weird activity. And I said to Matt one day, and I used to just watch everything. I mean, I watched everything, Finding Bigfoot, everything I could get my hands on, Ancient Aliens, you name it. And so the kids grew up with that in the house. So they knew that I was very open about it. I had no qualms about talking to them about it, being open with them, oh, you're having bad dreams, we'll figure something out. Like, it's just always been something in my life. It's not something that, it's just always been there. This is the first time in my life where I decided to not just be interested in the subject matters, but to actually dive headfirst into the deep end and say, I really, really, really want to know what this stuff is about. I want to know what the answers are. And I really think that Matt and I, one of the things that Matt and I definitely, we are truth seekers. Now, wherever that truth takes us is where it takes us. But it's truth at the end of the day that we're looking for.
I'm in the same boat. I'm career law enforcement. I'm a firm believer in go where the evidence takes you. Don't make your theories fit the make your theories fit the evidence, not the evidence fit your theories.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Even when
and that happens a lot of times. Go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right.
No, I mean it's a thing that kind of runs rampant with people because like we were talking about earlier. People get excited, they have these experiences, and they just have to, they want to share it. They want to they want to get some understanding of their own. And then when you have like bigger channels, and I'm just going to say bigger channels that continuously like fight tooth and nail to fit their narrative with photographs and things that are just kind of, they're bushes. If you know anything about film,
blob squatches,
not even
about?
that, just pareidolia at best.
Bro, Matt, I'll call it out, man. You don't have to. I'll be the bad guy. Listen, everybody that takes these pictures of these things, the DA will agree with me. All right. Now, the most good pictures, the best pictures I've ever seen, and Matt, you know this, and so does your mom. Your mom knows this, is Mark, Sasky, and Carrie. That's one and Jesus. Two, I believe. The next and Jesus is the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is Todd Standing's pictures original and real? I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about it. But the evidence is out there with Mark and Carrie and Jesus with their pictures so far. Their stuff is pretty solid from what I've seen. I know you went out with them out in that one area in West Palm Beach. And that's where I had my sighting. I had my sighting there when I was hunting out in the Corbett area, JW Corbett area. I know they're there. I wasn't a believer. I'd laugh at you. I'd make fun of you.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you're smoking crack, or you're drinking too much or something. You know, I'm like, yeah, they don't exist. So, I mean,
Well,
as far as these people taking these pictures,
this is what I'm going to say.
You know.
I'm not going to say anything about their pieces of evidence. Okay. I'm not. I do have an opinion on it. I don't agree. I don't like my personal opinion is I don't necessarily agree with it all. I don't. To me, it looks like the effect of digital zoom looking at a bush. And that goes for the same thing as with their Bruce banner and all that. You know, that's just how I feel. My personal opinion.
right?
You know, I just that and hey, I'm entitled to that. I'm not knocking them.
Well,
They're great researchers. They're great guys.
You do camera stuff and video stuff, right? That's what your job is. Am I correct, or am I not correct?
That's not my job. That is I've been an enthusiast for a very long time. I did
That's what I mean. Yeah,
radio and technology.
Okay.
3.5 years in high school, I spent doing nothing but radio communications and working on technology and doing TV production and things like that. So
Right.
I know the
Like,
difference between optical and digital zoom. So
Right. You know, I wouldn't know the difference between a Fisher Price camera and a Canon camera. I would, you know, I mean, it's like I asked you that time on Messenger when me and you were talking about the camera.
Yeah.
What camera should I get? I didn't know. You know, I went with your opinion. You know, I went with Chris Reinhardt's opinion on certain cameras, and I was, you know, weighing out my issues on it.
Yeah, you know, and then hey, listen, if you're looking for technology, that's what you should do. You should reach out to people who are knowledgeable and who can kind of guide you in a direction for what you actually need and you know, what fits your budget. And hey, listen, not everybody has the money to drop, you know, $17,000 on a lens. This is, you know, not everybody has the capability, but that doesn't mean that you don't have the willingness to go out and research. You know, you can definitely get a good camera with like at least 300 millimeter, you know, lens at Walmart right now in a bundle with a Canon that also has the 75 millimeter lens for like $500. You know, if you got the money, you want to drop it, you really want to get into this and try and get good pictures and good data. Hey, you can go get that, but you know, then you're also gonna, you know, it doesn't have night. You got to look at all the different specs for what you're trying to do. If you're trying to film at night, if you're trying to film for YouTube versus filming for TV, like there's all kinds of different things that go into it. But to kind of like get back to where the point that I was trying to make is that when you have these big platforms that promote things as hard evidence, right? To me, you can't tell me that a blurry photograph is hard evidence of something. And I will fight that tooth and nail, because the fact that it said that it is a blurry, zoomed in photograph does not make it hard evidence right there. You cannot have blurry and hard evidence in the same sentence. To me, that's me personally, man.
No,
and I stand by that. You want to have a conversation about it? We can. You know, I feel that way across the board. I feel that way across the board. And the point that I'm trying to make is that larger platforms are promoting that as hard evidence. Well, then what happens is that people come onto YouTube looking for information, and they feel like that is the correct information. So then it kind of trickles down to the newer generations and the newer enthusiasts, right? And then they start thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, if these guys can post blurry pictures, so can I. And then I can claim that that's hard evidence too. And it's this constant vicious circle. I'm not going to sit here and say that there aren't people who are getting, aberrations on their shots. It does happen. You know, I do think that Bigfoot and Sasquatch have the ability to cloak. And I also have personally found their hairs, and I know that they're clear, and I know that they can do something with some sort of camouflage that's on their hair at times. I don't know if they do it at will. I don't know if they can do it, by complete accident, like a chameleon. I don't know. You know, but that's what I'm looking to find. You know, I want answers for that stuff. But what I can say is that there's like thousands at this point good photographs that aren't blurry they're just out of focus or something like that. They're not like completely like zoomed in digitally as far as they can go and then cropped and then have a red circle on it and go, bam, that's Bigfoot right there. That's unacceptable.
Right. Well, we've seen them. Me and DA's looked at a bunch of blurry. I mean, blurry.
I bet.
Let's put it like this.
We all
blurry
have
shit. Okay,
We all have.
That's what it is to me.
But I will tell you,
and
in my opinion, I believe that there is a lot of people who are out there who are sitting on tons of evidence that
I
is
agree with you.
not blurry, that
I
is
agree with
in
you.
focus, but they are not going to release it.
I totally
I agree with you. I totally agree.
Well, we know for a fact there was clear
100%.
video footage taken on the Cherokee Reservation just over in Oklahoma. Behind one of the casinos, they caught on film several of them eating out of the dumpsters. However, the tribe will not release that footage.
Yeah.
They won't
Period.
release it. My opinion. I'm going to give you my opinion on this. My opinion is, I'm gonna throw. I'm not a betting man, but I'm going to bet this. I think the one person that probably will get good, clear pictures is not scared to show them, and I think it's going to be Fred from Alaska. From what my opinion is,
I think Fred's going to bring in some hard evidence.
I think he's going to get some good stuff because it took him.
The only reason he hasn't so
least
far
2
is he's been
months.
waiting for approval from the tribes to actually be able to do
Yes.
it, because it's against their beliefs to even take pictures of these things.
Did he finally
Right.
get it?
Yes.
I haven't heard.
He
Oh,
okay,
he did?
or-
Oh, how awesome.
No, he did. Yeah,
Oh.
that's why he's out there right now. He's going to be doing his
Okay.
research way out where he had his sighting. It's like he said to me, if you came out here, you don't have to look for them. They'll come right out to you.
Mhm.
That's the whole thing. And now, if he gets these things on film and camera and they're that clear, I think that's what's going to do it. You know, and everybody's going to be like, uh-oh, we got to get better film than this. Uh-oh.
Well,
You know,
I'll tell you, and I'll tell you another team that I think is not. I don't want to sit here and say that I think that this particular team is going to be like, oh, they're going to have all of this like footage. I
right.
think that this particular team that I'm going to mention, I think they're going way past that. I think that they're getting to the point where this group is so used to them and trust them so much that I think that they're actually going to be able to have some sort of a relationship with this group. And that's Shane Carpenter and Randy Harrington,
Okay.
because
Okay.
that's what they're doing. They're Into the 400 is the documentary that Shane did.
That's right here in
And-
Missouri.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yep.
I've seen that.
Mhm. Yeah, Ozark Mountain Sasquatch. And, they're getting to a point in their research where they're getting 8 to 10 feet away.
They're also planning to do the Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Festival here in Ozark, about 10 miles from here.
I mean, they have a lot of stuff that they don't release. And they've talked about, on many shows that they're sitting on so much stuff. They don't, you know what I mean? They have so much because they've been focusing on their research instead of, a lot of documentary type things. And they're
Mhm.
working on building a relationship with these individuals.
It's a funny, like me and DA and Doc will say, when you're in the Bigfoot community, everybody's at each other's throats.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
just
there's a lot of it.
crazy.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I reached out to your son, like I said before, about the cameras. Now, he could have told me to go screw myself. Hey, I don't want to ball with you. The hell with you.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I'm 52. He's in his 30s. I mean, he knows more about stuff that I don't know about. So I'm going to reach out to him and I'm going to be like, hey, man, what can I use? Or what's good for me to start out with down here, in Ocala, and do this and do that. And he took the time and we talked for, I don't know, Matt, an hour, 2 hours almost? We were texting.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. I mean, even Chris Ryan, Chris reached out. Even when I asked Chris was like, use this, do this, do that, you know, and even Mark and them. I'll ask anybody, Mark and Carrie, I'll ask everybody. You know, when it comes to this subject, yeah, I'm fairly new in it. So is DA, Doc too. Me and Doc we know more about weapons than we do about Bigfoot. I mean, that's it. He knows about medical. I know weapons. You know, DA knows how to write books.
And
So-
Doc, I have to ask you, like,
Marty.
how do you come up with like all of these like weapons and things that, you know, like, what comes to your mind when you put all these things together for these guys?
Oh, as far as the scenarios in the books with the DA?
No, the don't you have the Dark Angel Medical,
Mhm.
and it's like
You mean in the book?
No,
Yeah.
no. Don't you put things together for the guys when they go
I
out
do.
and stuff?
Oh yeah, we always carry
Yeah.
one of his kits.
Yeah.
I do.
That's what I want to know. Like, how what do you put in your kits? And because I had Nick Valenti on my
Yeah.
show, and there we go. So tell me.
I mean, it's based on based on a lot of experience, literally a lifetime of experience. I mean, Matt, how old are you?
30.
30. Yeah, I've been doing this 31 years now, so I've been doing this longer than Matt's been alive. So from the stuff that we use, the stuff that friends of mine have used in less than austere situations, I'm like,
Doc
look,
was the
I mean,
Special Forces combat medic.
I mean, if you
Okay.
if you want to use this stuff and make a difference in somebody's life, then this is what you need to have in your kit. And a lot of the stuff out there now is by and large just a lot of fluff, a lot of style, no substance. And that's why I put this stuff in there that these guys need, because the stuff I've used is stuff that a lot of my friends have used downrange. So I'm like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're getting chased by the tally over in Afghanistan, or if you're getting chased by a cryptid somewhere in the deepest, darkest jungles of Ocala. You know, it's something that you can use to save somebody's life, or you know, you're at home or you're in a car, and so that's how I put all this stuff together. It's just more of a common sense trauma kit than anything else. That's the reason I've dedicated my life to doing this and teach people how to use them. Because like I always I've told DA and Anthony, man,
it's important.
It's easy to break something. It's hard to fix it. So that's kind of like my passion, because I do firearms training with a very significant company, and I also
take the first part, significant. Yeah.
SIG, but
SIG. Emphasis on the SIG.
Yeah, but I also teach people how to. Man, I can teach people how to put holes in stuff, but I can teach how to patch them up too. So that's the reason.
I love it.
You know,
it's important.
It is, and I encourage everybody to get the training, even if it's a basic stop the bleed training, or you know, but carry a kit with you, because this is something that DA knows I'm passionate about. DA and I met over a decade ago when he was writing his Ragnarok Rising series, and that was where I was like, hey, you know, what about med stuff? And he was like, so what do you know about med stuff? I was like, let me explain you. And so, you know, we started talking, and so the bromance started, and then he would lean on me for different information, and he carried several of our kits while he was on duty as a police officer. And you know, it makes a difference in people's lives.
It does.
It's kind of like what Matt was saying. You know, I mean, you got to find your niche, and if your niche enriches people's lives, and that's what we're supposed to do. It's my calling, and it's just like that's the reason I love working with these guys so much, is because I'm a scientist. I'm all about evidence-based medicine. I can tell you irrefutably that the more blood you have in your body, the longer you're going to live. That's a scientific fact. You can't refute it, right? And so if you see the science, you know, if you see the science there behind the cryptids or anything like that, then that's where you got me. You know, I'm way more convinced by substance over style, and a lot of these folks out there now are all about the glitz and the glam, and not the substance of it, and not evidential stuff. You know, I'm all about evidence-based medicine, again, and this is all about evidence. If you got evidence, cool, then I'll be more willing to listen to you than, hey, there's a circle in here and it's right there. It looks like a big blob, but I'm telling you, it's there. So you give me some evidence. But yeah, that's where I came in, and that's my shtick, so to speak.
No, I think it's really important because it only takes one misstep, and an injury can happen very easily, very quickly, and anywhere around the country. If you're in the woods, you need to be prepared.
That's part of what we always tell people.
Is
if you're going out looking for Bigfoot, if you're going out hiking, hunting, fishing, camping, going to the range, take a med kit and know how to use it.
I mean, it's where y'all look for this stuff is not necessarily, in the comfort of your backyard. It's typically an in-hospital environment, where I mean, let's look in Florida, dude. Everything's made out of knives and it wants to bite you. And so I mean, you gotta be careful. And if you're walking around, like you said, one misstep, and that can literally be the difference between life or death. And if you're not ready, dude, hope you got your life insurance paid up, because 911 is going to be a long way away.
Long way away.
Yeah, a rolled ankle in your living room is not that big a deal. A rolled ankle 10 miles back into the hinterlands, it's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
a rolled ankle can be life threatening at that point.
Yeah.
Okay,
especially
Damien,
if you're not with anybody that can help pack you out.
Damien, let me correct you, sir. You said not correct. Only specific amount of the blood in the veins, and not blood is really important. But oxygen, blood carries oxygen, sir. So yes, blood is important. The more blood you have in your body, the more oxygen carrying capability, the more waste removal capability, the more clotting factors you have in your body to stop a bleed. So I'm going to have to tell you you're incorrect on that one, sir.
Well, there you go. One-on-one with Doc.
Doc's the go-to guy, man. He's my expert. He's his company's responsible for, what is it, 140 some saves now, Doc, or 170?
Over 140 saves.
That's amazing.
Plus, his time as a actual combat medic in combat conditions.
I'm going to have you on my show, Doc, and literally have an entire conversation of all the different things that we got to do that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Marty.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Tyler
we'll book
said,
it.
"Mic drop." I was like,
no worries, Damien. No worries.
Hey, just so everybody knows, Tyler Howell Outdoorsman, he's a really good friend of mine, and he's actually part of my film. He's had some very interesting encounters, and he'd be a good person to have on the show too. I've had him on before. He's very down to earth, good old boy. Yeah, man, he's had some interesting stuff happen to him too. Give him reach out to him, Anthony. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
He's a hunter.
Oh no,
he's a hunter.
He
is
too.
I see. When he goes out hunting.
Tyler, shoot me a friend request on Facebook and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, man, he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. He actually has one.
Sorry, guys, I hit something. I don't know.
One of the most peculiar videos of something walking across, the power lines when they run power lines in between forest. He pulled up to a spot and he has something really big walking across the freaking thing. Just
where is he at? Is he in Florida? Is he in Florida?
Yes, he is. He's in the Panhandle.
He's in the Panhandle.
He's probably closer to you than he is to me, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be relocating sometime soon. But yeah, man, he's a good dude. He's got great information, and I kind of feel like he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. But he's out there doing this every day. That he has an opportunity to go out in the woods, he does. He's definitely a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, I would love to talk to him about maybe getting him on the show.
He said, "Will do, man. He'll contact us." He said,
"Oh, awesome." I had a question that just completely disappeared like smoke in the wind. Okay, here's one thing I always ask everybody: what is the scariest? The scariest? Yeah, it's not the Knob Creek there. Shut up! I don't even drink at Knob Creek. It's proper 12 Irish.
Wait, what was it?
Proper 12 Irish whiskey.
Oh, I love Irish whiskey.
I do too. I'm a Bushmills guy, and when I found out that Conor McGregor had his own line of Irish whiskey, I thought, it's probably just something goofy, like the Game of Thrones Scotch that came out, which was really really terrible. And I tried it, and it was like, like bottom shelf freaking Scotch. Well, when I heard Conor McGregor came out with it, with his own Irish whiskey, my buddy Steve, who's not here tonight, he's not feeling well. He said, let's try it. I'm like, oh, well, all right, what the heck? Worst case scenario, we use it for mixed drinks. It was shockingly good. So I started reading the back of the bottle where it had the description of it. Mm-hmm. And Conor McGregor reached out to the master distiller at Bushmills Irish Whiskey, and they blended it for him from Bushmills casks. So it's technically just another Bushmills label. Is probably why I like it so much.
I love Irish whiskey. I like bourbon too. I'm a bourbon girl.
I didn't used to be as much of a bourbon guy till Doc and I got to talking.
I love me some Bullet.
I think that's what Doc's got.
He's drinking Bullet.
Yeah, I like some Bullet.
I got a bottle.
So what was your question, DA?
I always ask everybody, what's the scariest encounter you've had? And since you two delve into more than just cryptids, it could be anything. What's the most terrifying moment you've had?
You go ahead and go first, Mom, and I'll drop the bomb after that.
I don't know. I really don't have anything that's like super, super scary that's happened to me. I really haven't.
That's kind of unusual in this field. Everybody usually has an oh shit moment.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that very first encounter when I wasn't sure what that was, it was like late at night and it was, like maybe that, but I really don't feel like there's been anything that was so terrifying that I was like, oh my gosh, like Matt can tell you though, and I know that people think I'm crazy and they think that I'm full of, what, but I kind of, there's that fight or flight thing. I will stand my ground every time. I don't have a lot of like a fear button. I might get a little creeped out about something or kind of be like uneasy or something, but I have never, even though the other sightings that I have had of Sasquatch, I wasn't afraid. I really wasn't afraid. I don't know why, because I was prepared for it. Maybe I'm not sure.
I think really because it's out there. It's out there. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
When you don't know something's out there and it walks in front of you, like it did me, you're like, okay, What is that? What's going on? Your mind doesn't process it that quick.
Yeah. The only thing that I could say is that when Matt was a teenager living at home, there was something in the house. We weren't sure exactly what it was, and it was terrifying him. It was giving him really bad nightmares. And that was difficult for me as a parent to see him struggling. And at that time, I didn't know how to help him. I had no idea. We kind of knew something was going on, but we really didn't know how to handle it and didn't know what to do about it. And I guess that's something was terrifying in that way, because I knew I needed to do something. I had to do something to help my child, but I didn't know what to do. It was a very, very frustrating time in our lives. So I guess maybe you could say that would probably be my most terrifying.
Well, as a parent, I would totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That would probably freak me out. I actually take a lot of, because I have 3 kids. I'm a dad first and foremost, and everything that I do. So with a lot of the different things I experiment with, I know that there's always a potential of something following me home. So I do my best to, try and keep as much positivity as also in tandem with, like smudging the house and things like that, to try and make sure that like nothing, I'm covering all bases. Sometimes I don't even find myself believing in some of the things that I do per se, but I do it just because, hey man, I want to make sure that I'm extra protected. And I want to make sure
Yeah,
that my
we
kids
do
are extra
protect
safe.
ourselves now. Yeah,
Um,
spiritually, we do that. We really do. We make sure that we're, you know, that we're protecting ourselves when we go out now. So it's a little
Yeah,
different.
because I never want my kids to have to experience anything that I go through. My mom and I have kind of come to the belief that there's something about our bloodline that's particularly sensitive to
Yeah.
these things. My brother is also sensitive to these things. My father has also been sensitive to these types of things. It's just something that happens within. I don't know if it's our bloodline or what. For sure, I can't give you like 100% answer. So we try to do our best to be as safe as possible because I never want them to go with that what I went through. I personally don't really like to talk about my truly most terrifying experience that I ever had. That one was when it actually kind of coincides with what she just said. Whatever was in the house at that time was manifesting itself to me as some sort of shadow entity, and this thing used to do things to me that were not pleasant. And I prefer not to talk about that one. But the second thing that was probably the most scariest thing that has happened to me, it was our last day of filming on our friend of mine's property, and he begged us. He begged us to not go out there and camp another night unarmed, and I did. Long story short, there was a lot of things that kind of led up to the fact that like the second that I got in my tent, I set up my camera, and I passed out uncontrollably, just passed out. I woke up, and I say around like 4:30, like. Happened somewhere in between 3:30 and 4:30. 4:30 was the time that I was able to finally look at my phone and see what time it was. But I woke up to the best way I could say, I'm sleeping like this, and when I'm alone in my tent, I sleep diagonally, and I try to put something behind, make sure something is behind my head because I don't like things messing with my head while I'm trying to sleep. So my head, I can't move. I'm flat as a board, and I just start tilting upward like this. And then I go back down, and then my feet start lifting up above my head. And then it goes back down. And then it started to shake me in the air like this in my tent. What it was, I still don't know for 100% certainty. I don't. Could it have been something putting this happening to me in my head? Absolutely. Could it have been something paranormal? Could it have been something in regards to an elemental? The place is haunted. It's got Indian burial mounds on it. It's very high energy. Sasquatch definitely lived there. According to DA, he looked at this print that I thought was a coyote, and he told me it's a Dogman print. Also,
It's too
was
big to
taken
be a
like
coyote. That thing was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
well,
it's huge.
Unless you're looking at a 600-pound coyote, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying that as this place is special. This place is very special. So I don't really know what did that, but all I know is that I passed out, and I woke up, and stuff was all jumped. Somehow I was out of my sleeping bag, which I found very odd. My camera was dead. My lavalier mic was completely dead. None of it was on camera.
I'm sorry, Matt. Was somebody with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who was with you?
Yeah, Connor was there. But
Connor.
he was passed out. He slept through it. And
He
he
slept
had his
through
own
it.
experience.
Nice.
Well,
He had his own experience that because he knew that I passed out. Well, he was awake for several hours, and he experienced his own thing that, that's up for him to share if he ever wants to share that. But he experienced his own thing, and then he suddenly passed out.
Huh.
And then, yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah,
Since
I don't
then,
deal with
I've had.
supernatural stuff.
Well, I do because I think
can't.
that it's very important that people understand that every time that they go looking for Bigfoot, they go looking for Dogman, they go to a ghost tour, that they're dealing with something that they can't explain, and that's one of the reasons why I cover it. Just like you guys do here, you guys talk to all kinds of different people. Every time now. In regards to extraterrestrials, if they're interested in you, there's nothing you can really do about that at that
Yeah.
point. But the other things, you need to be aware that these things are out there.
Right.
And that's how I know that some of them are more of like the woo and their urban legends and myths and this and that, whatever. But I think that there's enough anecdotal reference to say that there has to be something to the phenomena at least.
No,
And I think that
I believe it does. I believe it does.
Well,
you know, my wife at the time, I wasn't married to her. She brought home a dagger, some sort of knife that was at a garage sale or whatever she got it, and brought it into the house. And as soon as she brought it into the house, all this crazy shit was going on. I mean, crazy stuff. You know, couches being moved and stuff being thrown, and you know.
Wow.
So when it comes to the paranormals, like even now, you know, she won't watch it. Like, she won't put on any scary movies. She won't watch anything about ghosts. And that one medium told her, she goes, if you do, like, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I'm not. Believe me, I'm not. What they told her was that if you invite this into your house, it will come. And she's a magnet for these things. Like me and DA.
Because she's got
a ghost could be in
abilities.
front of us. Right. This stuff could be right in front of me and DA, and we'd be like, what's that? You know, what is that?
I wouldn't
mist?
even notice.
We don't know. Yeah. We're like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But
Well, the best thing that she
what
can
you're talking
do,
about.
but the best thing she can do is acknowledge it and start meditating. And as soon as she
Yeah.
starts meditating and she starts acknowledging it, her abilities, I mean, it's going to get a lot easier for her.
Yeah, Marty, this was years ago, and
Yeah.
we had nothing's ever happened since. But this was in Kansas, you know, at the time. She rented a house in Kansas, and all this stuff was going on in the house. You know, like even now, I can't even. You put on The Exorcist, I'll leave the room. I won't watch it. I'm serious. I won't watch it.
Yeah.
I will not sit down and
you.
watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yep, I'm outie. See you later. I'm dipping. Later. I'm gone. Can't. You know.
Come on, Anthony. We want to meet
I'm
you
dead.
guys like in Ocala, and then Matt's going to do
Oh,
the
I'm
Estes
fine
Monthly
with-
with you.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine going out in the woods. You could drop me in the middle of the woods with a knife, and I'm good. I'm happy. You know,
All right. We
when
can't
it comes
take
to
any place
spirits,
spooky.
no, you put a ghost or a demon in front of me. Yeah, I'm beating feet. If it don't bleed and I can't kill it, sorry, I'm done.
Matt and I were in Mayaca. We went back there. He wanted to film some stuff, and go ahead, Matt. Tell him.
No, you tell it. It happened to you.
Me-
I was just filmed it.
Well,
Yeah, my is a hot spot, man.
we went into we were at the Crowley Museum, and they have this house there, and it's called the Tatum House, and it was from 1889, and it's there on the property, and most of the whole area at Crowley, it's a museum, you know. So
We
went in
Alistair
there.
Crowley or just the name Crowley?
It's Crowley Nature Museum.
Oh, okay.
In
Yeah,
Mayaca, yeah. So we went in there, and we were like, all right, let's try and do, you know, like a little session and see if, you know, with the little app on our phone, it's called the Necrophonic app. We're like, oh, let's ask some questions, see if we can get anything to interact with us. And we were just sitting there, and we were asking questions. We were getting some responses, and all of a sudden I knew immediately that there was something negative that's literally swept in. And I even said, I asked, you know, the spirits, like, did something negative just come in the room? And it said yes. And then it said demon. And then all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden,
Look at the time.
I felt it started on it started on the calf of my leg, because I was sitting down. So, and Matt got all this on film, and I'm sitting there and I'm asking questions, and then I felt the calf of my leg go absolutely just stone cold, and it literally started to come up my leg, come up my back, and he was trying to jump me, and he was trying to enter my body.
Oh, no.
and it was, but at least I recognized it, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, and then I literally just had was talking directly to the entity, telling it like, you're not allowed to do this, you do not have permission, you're not, that you're going to stop, and you're going to stop right now. And then when he left me,
Right.
the necrophonic app, it says plain as day, fuck, F this swine.
You can say it. Really?
Yeah, you're
You
fine.
can say it. Go
It
ahead.
said,
Marty.
Wow.
You're from
Fuck.
the. Come on.
fuck this swine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then it
That's
tried to
nuts.
come over to me, and I was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
I just said like, get away from me. That's it. We're done. Get out of here."
Wow.
And it left.
Yeah.
I was like,
I don't
"No,
know. If it
no,"
jumped over
'cause-
to me and Doc or DA, it would have a problem in our head. It'd be like, yeah, these guys are too screwed up. I'm not even bothering with them guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. That was the first time I had anything ever tried to like jump me like that. But yeah, it was a little
Marty, can I
No,
ask
I
y'all a
believe
question?
there is something. I believe there is.
Do y'all bubble yourselves or do any kind of thing like sage yourselves, anything like that before you go into these sessions? Because that's one of the things that we're big on here. Even at our house, we've salted our house, we've bubbled our house, we sage it on a regular basis just to prevent any kind of negative entity from coming in. Because my wife and I both had that happen to us, and I think, like you said, some people are more susceptible to it. And if you're, and I think if you're more open to it, it's happened to skeptics, but if you're more open to it, then I think that realm across the veil kind of sees that as a
100%.
target of opportunity, and they're going to make themselves, more apparent to you than they might somebody else. So that's a question I have. Do y'all bubble yourselves, protect yourselves in any kind of way?
We do. We
Yeah.
do. We always, yeah, we do protections.
We bring crystals with us, like black tourmaline, shungite. We bring things like that. I keep it in a pouch, keep it in my pocket, on every single hike, every single thing that I do.
Hematite, obsidian.
Yeah. I mean, we spend. I know I've at least spent a lot of time making sure that my house is protected as well. And just want to throw this out there, like sage. Sage is actually something that will draw things in if done by itself. So if you just sage yourself and then you go out into the woods, you're actually making yourself more attractive to those things. There's a bunch of different things that you need to do at the same time. Like saging will clear a space, and then if you burn Palo Santo as well, it will bring in positivity and bring a positive barrier around you as well. Like there's different things that you have to do, especially in regards to dealing with these paranormal things, because it is real, man. There's a reason that like the Catholic Church does invests all this time and money into demonology,
Right?
I mean frankincense and myrrh are they don't put those in the censers for a reason, for no reason whatsoever, because one thing that you do, like you just hit it, some things you can do, you can create a vacuum. And while you're clearing your space, you can create a vacuum and bring something else that's unwanted in there. Right. And I think like you said, there's a certain combination of stuff. So we do the Palo Santo. I even have the hematite, the selenite, because that's St. Michael's. That's St. Michael's crystal. So I mean, St. Michael's my homeboy. So that's one of the things I was just wondering about the stuff that y'all carry.
I mean, but still, even though we do these kinds of things, there are. I mean, I had something come home with me that I didn't even pick up on. I didn't know it was here in the house. And my dog was reacting to something.
Right.
And it was going on for several weeks. And she wasn't like barking or growling, nothing like that. But she just kept every single night in bed. She would just try to get between me and the side of the bed. She's for years sleep, in the middle, and couldn't figure it out. And so finally we contacted, a psychic that we work with. And she said, well, you were shiny someplace and a Native American followed you home. She's like, he doesn't mean you any harm. He's not there to hurt you. He's not, he's just saw you were a light, you were a beacon, and he thought you were cool and came home. So he wasn't being negative. He wasn't doing anything. There was nothing. He wasn't causing any problems, but disturbing my dog. So, long story short, he's in my backyard now. He doesn't want to leave. He won't leave, but he stays in the backyard. He's out there, and I moved him out there, and he's cool. He's fine.
I've had a couple. I've had stuff like that.
Damien had a good question. Something about quartz on Bigfoots. Quartz on Bigfoot.
Yes. All right. So here's an interesting fun fact. If you guys don't know about this, but like quartz is very high in energy, right?
Right.
And I've actually talked to some people who are actively researching if quartz is something that the Bigfoot are either drawing energy off of, and that's why we see orbs in Bigfoot research areas. But it seems to be that there is a lot of cases where areas that are really, really high in activity are also high in geological energy sites. Quartz is one of the main ones that I've heard about. And that I know some people who are actively researching quartz specifically in their research area, and the interesting things that they found from that. I'm not going to get too much further into it other than that, but I do know that that's something that's
it's a factor of some sort.
Yeah, it definitely is, because they have to get their. So let's just say that they can cloak, they can teleport, they can do mind speak, they can do all these magical things. Let's just say they have to be able to manifest that energy from somewhere. It has to come from energy. Has to come from something, just like when we do with like combustible propulsions. Like we have to have fuel to be able to turn it into power to move a vehicle. It's the same thing. So for me personally, I'm a firm believer that if there is anything going on, that they draw their energy from the environment around them. And I think that's why they hang out in areas where there's high quartz, where there's high energy fields, even like, sometimes radiation.
Right.
Who knows what they're really feeding off of? But they're definitely, there's something there. There's something there. It has to be.
Well, DA, where, okay, so the land between the lakes, it's like Kentucky, Tennessee type area, right? Okay.
It spans the Kentucky-Tennessee border.
Yeah. So I've always wondered too, and going back to the quartz, that whole area is full of quartz. It's like the largest quartz deposit in the United States is all right there, like where the Mammoth Cave systems are and all of that. So I always wondered whether the concentration of Dogman reports are generally in those large areas because of the quartz. I've always wondered that myself.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, long before white settlers came to that area, the Native Americans believed that area was cursed, that it had dark energies. In fact, they talked about it being a place where a shaman had gone so dark it was cursed to be locked in the form of a wolf, thus supposedly explaining the first Dogman sightings. But the Dogman type creature sightings go back to that area, back to the late 1600s when French trappers first moved through that area. And I know when I was in LBL, Nick Valente and I, we experienced some kind of weird crap there too. We had a brief sighting of a large black Dogman daytime sighting. We went to a couple of cemeteries late at night. The entire place was just had a very eerie vibe. And one of the strangest things I experienced about LBL was I grew up in the woods. I'm a Missouri farm kid. I've been in and out of the woods my whole life. I have never been to a place where you couldn't find animals. Outside of LBL, along the highway, you would find roadkill in the place where we stayed, where our condo was. There would be deer right there along the shore of the lake. But once you got into LBL, nothing. I didn't see so much as a squirrel the entire time I was in there with LBL.
And I saw the show where Jessica had remote viewed your. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
It's a really weird area.
Yeah, I'm never going to the LBL, guys. Sorry.
I want to go back. I want to go spend some more time there.
Not
Yeah,
my thing.
you know,
My
I
wife is
I might
convinced.
have
I'm,
said that. I'm like, I'll go anywhere, but I'm not going to go to the LBO.
my wife is convinced I'm
Yeah.
going to wind up with missing 411 case.
Well,
Hope
it's
not.
even like where we grew up in Mississippi, there was a lot of gravel pits,
Mhm.
and the gravel pits have a high concentration of quartz. And coincidentally, there were a lot of paranormal sightings, activity.
Yes.
Cryptid sightings, Bigfoot. Down there they call it the skunk ape.
Yep.
In that area as well. So I think that has something to do because it's a conduit. It's an energy conduit, like Matt was saying.
yes.
So
There's
And
a
Northwoods is
lot of
right.
factors.
we're
He
all
said a lot of
energy, man.
areas with lots of limestone seem to have lots of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
Missouri is riddled with limestone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we have a lot of limestone down here in Florida too.
Mhm.
Most of our once you get 6 to 12 feet down, you're going to start hitting limestone sooner or later. The earth is important. You got to remember, we're all these things that we're investigating have probably been around way before we have. Probably have a completely different understanding of the world around them. Because one thing that I kind of seem to, and I guess I'm just going to make the general statement, not beat around the bush. Most of these encounters, when people tell the stories of how they interacted, they don't seem like something that's not intelligent. And that goes for Dogman, Bigfoot, I know that there's benign ghost activities and stuff, and obviously extraterrestrials are inherently viewed as something that's bigger and greater than, you know what I mean? So I won't really include those, but we're not dealing with something that's just the average Yogi Bear of the woods. We're dealing with something that has a completely different understanding of the natural world around us, and going and investigating it, you have to be you can't limit yourself with just straight science. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more open-minded. To the world will always surprise you. It wasn't until what was it, the 1980s that gorillas were discovered or something like that. It wasn't very long ago that gorillas, the huge,
Just over 100
massive
years
apes.
ago.
Yeah,
I think
there
it was
we
the
go.
late 1800s.
Somewhere around there. I for whatever reason, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I used to know the date. I don't anymore. I filled my information with my brain with more information than I can handle sometimes.
Even the Billy Ape. The Billy Ape wasn't discovered until what, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And the panda bear only 65 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and these are all animals that people thought were cryptids up until they were, here it is.
yes.
Right.
And that's the interesting part.
Museum, oh no, that couldn't possibly exist. And then somebody drops a body on the table and they're like, oh, I saw it first. I get to name it.
Exactly. I mean, even there are some states that will not even admit that they have mountain lions.
Oh no, I think all the United States. Most of the United States has mountain lions.
But they don't like to admit that they're in the areas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that everybody has at least seen on TV a million times, a mountain lion. You know what I mean? It's very common. It's not something that is we don't know about, but there's still.
I could tell you a firsthand story about that. I mean, when I lived in South Florida, and I don't mean to get off subject, when I lived in South Florida, there was a place down there called Billy Swamp Safari. And
yep, been there.
It was okay. Well, I used to help my buddy out that worked on the property, and he would take out doctors, lawyers to go hunting, set them up in tree stands and all this. So when Florida Wildlife Management, when they would go out there, the FWC guys would go out there and try to capture and collar panthers. So they knew how much was in the population. I mean, when you have somebody that works for them turn around and look at you and go, listen, there are more panthers in Florida than what we're telling the people, than what they know of. Okay? There's a big population of panthers in Florida. Okay? And they don't want to tell the public, oh, well, listen, there's 5,000 more panthers than what we're telling you. Because that day when they were out there, they tracked and caught 5 and collared them. And I've seen it firsthand. Right. In that one area. Now, a panther,
Yeah.
and I know, has a vast. They travel for miles. Okay,
Mhm.
when you have that many panthers out in that one little area, yeah, there's a problem. Okay, there's a food source. Of
Yeah.
course there is, because you have a hunting thing going on where there's thousands of pigs
Mhm.
running around, access deer. So they're not going to
Mhm.
tell you. They're not. They're not going to tell you how many animals are out in the woods. What, the deer
Well, they don't
population?
know.
I mean, the deer
They can
population.
guess, but
Right,
there's
it's
no way to have
crazy.
a completely accurate census.
No, they're not. I mean, the deer population's nuts in Florida, and people don't realize that. How many times do you see a deer? Think about it.
Around
Really?
here, fairly often.
What? Well, you drive down the road, you see a deer right on the side of the road at night.
Yeah.
It's just not. How many times you see a panther? I've seen a panther 4 times in my life. 4
I've
times
seen
in
2 in my
and
life.
that was it.
I've seen
So I
2.
mean, they're out there, right? And I've seen 2 up here and 2 down in South Florida. It's just crazy. They're not going to tell you, Marty. They're not going to tell you what's out there, what's around in Colorado by Doc, or they're not going to say what's in
No.
by DA. They're no, we don't have them here. Yeah, just
Because
like
you
they say,
have
there's no
to-
panthers in Louisiana. There is.
Because you
There's
have to
panthers in
follow the
Louisiana.
money. You have to
Right,
follow the
exactly.
money.
What you just said.
Exactly.
100%.
You have to follow the money.
Just like if they said Bigfoot or Sasquatch or skunk ape exists, it's like we talked about. It would devastate the economy if they came
Yep.
out with that. Okay,
Tourism.
the timber
In
companies.
Florida,
Exactly. Who wants to take their kids out? Right. Who wants to take their kids out into the swamp on airboat rides? And you got this 8-10 foot
Do
hairy
you
thing
think-
running around out there.
Anthony, do
I mean,
you
come
really
on.
think all of the millionaires in West Palm Beach, you think the Trumps would love to know
Oh,
that
no.
they're not very
No, no.
far from a bunch of
No.
Sasquatch
No, you're
that could
right. You're
potentially
absolutely
be
right.
10, 12 feet tall? No.
Exactly.
Those
Same
guys
here.
don't
It's
wanna
like
know
you want
that.
to take right.
Yeah.
You don't want to
This-
take
this-
your kids out camping.
No. Yeah.
The ski industry in Colorado would take a nosedive for sure. you gotta,
Exactly.
Yeah, no shit,
gotta-
man.
You got to
It's called
squash
tourism,
your
and it's-
human right
and
next to you.
Yeah, I mean,
If it
really.
was-
Saying.
They have to protect that. I understand
It's
it.
all about the money.
I
It's about
understand
the
it
money,
too.
like he said. Like,
but it's
right,
about
I
the
agree.
money.
They do have to protect it. Yes, it is all about the money. No one's ever going to come out. Just like if gorillas were all over the United States, okay, instead of Africa, out in the Congo
Mhm.
where nobody really lives, there's little tribes here and there. Of course, they're going to be like, yeah, there's gorillas out there. Can you imagine if they
And
were
the
here in the
poachers
United
still have
States?
decimated
Oh,
the
yeah.
populations.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, come on. It would just, you can't do which, like the Congo's so protective, even though there's poaching and there's still cutting trees, it's still a protective area
Yep.
because
Yep.
of these animals out there.
Yep.
And they're not going to do that here in the United States. It's like Matt taking his kids out and going, all right, guys, we're going camping this weekend. No, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, no.
Your wife's going to look at you like you're crazy.
Mhm.
You're gonna think twice when you know that something that big is out there.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do.
We're not-
I go
we're
in
not
the
talking
ocean.
about-
I'm just the opposite. I'm the guy that once I knew they were out there, I wanted to go back out. My mother
That's
used
right,
to say
me
I would
too.
blunder in where angels feared to tread. That's kind of been the hallmark of life.
When
That's
DA
a beautiful
hears,
That's
statement.
right.
I ain't the top man on the food chain. Let me see who is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's kind of the way it works. I'm
When
curious.
I was a
now.
cop, I didn't want to be the second guy through the door. Never wanted to be the second guy.
I don't. Yeah.
When I was on the riot
And,
team,
like
the
I
same
said,
way.
we
I
talked
wanted to be the
about-
first guy through the door into the fight. Maybe I'm an idiot,
There's
but
good
it's the way
ones,
I've
there's
pretty much
bad
lived my
ones.
life.
You're going to run
Yeah.
into good swamp apes, bad swamp apes, Bigfoot. I mean,
the
it's
same with
anybody.
people.
It's one.
Yeah, you're gonna
Right.
meet
You're
good
going to
people and
find
bad
somebody.
people.
Right. So no one could say, well, this group is bad and that group isn't. I mean, yeah, they do. In Texas, they're more aggressive. Alaska, yeah, they're
Pretty
more
Missouri,
aggressive.
I've
pretty
heard that.
aggressive here in Missouri too.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Florida, Matt, I don't know. Matt, what do you think, man? I mean, even you, Marty. I mean, I've never had a bad experience here in Florida.
No,
Honestly.
For the most part, like they're pretty docile.
or at least
right.
it seemed to
I
be
mean,
in our experience.
I have kind of stumbled on some things that will make them actively angry.
Oh yeah, you'll
My
piss
mom-
them off. I know that.
Yeah, you can piss them off, but you know what's interesting is that they'll throw rocks inches, and I mean
Oh, yeah.
literal inches from past your head, just enough to go, I could hit you if I want to hit you, but I'm not. Think about what you're doing because you're making me mad. Type of actions, and it's pretty interesting. But personally,
I know they can
like
be aggressive.
Yeah,
they can be. I've seen them kill. I didn't see them kill. I know. Hunting dogs don't come up with their necks broken. Not three of them at once in different areas, and I've seen that.
No,
when I was out hunting on the swamp buggy, we find these dogs with their neck snapped. With tracking collars on them because we would track the dogs, and you'd be like, okay, how did this dog get his neck? The dog's not going to break its neck from running through the woods, a swamp.
Right.
Three of them, 3 dogs in different, miles apart from each other. No, sorry.
Well, I think that dogs in particular are something that they don't like because dogs will tell on them. Does that make sense? Like, if I'm trying to be hidden and I got this dog that's sniffing me out and like, hey, there's something here, there's something here, there's something here. Eventually, I'm going to shut that dog up because I don't want to be found.
Right.
I think that dog, like, I know that my dog is very sensitive. He reacts to a number of different types of beings. He's very smart. He's very intuitive, and I've even had the opportunity to capture it on camera. He's a black-mouthed cur. That's just one of those high. You get a highly intelligent dog out there in the woods, and that's able to sense these things. And they're not gonna like it. I think most of the time that they try to live around us, not necessarily amongst us, but they try to live around us. They try to go about their business for the most part. I can't necessarily say for Dogman personally. I don't actively investigate Dogman. I believe that there's something out there. I definitely believe that there's a lot of reports. I think there's a lot of anecdotal references as far back as to like ancient Egypt and the Bible. Just like Sasquatch, like it has enough evidence for me to personally be looking into it. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe it's something that's subconsciously happening within me that like knows that I'm too stupid, and I would like run towards it with a camera and it would kill me, and because that's just kind of who I am too. I don't have that fear button. Like when they were throwing rocks the other night, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, keep doing it. Come on, and my mom was like, no, we need to go. We're making them mad. I'm like, no. Let's keep going.
Yeah. I mean, after rock number 5, and rock number 5 was like this big, I'm like, yeah guys, I think we got to pack it in.
Yeah.
It's been like an hour now, and they're getting like, they went from tiny little pebbles to
it's telling you, get out of here.
Something's saying, we need to go.
Yep.
I think some of the issue with dogs may be the noise. I took a couple accounts. There was one lady here in Missouri that lived out in the end of the Mark Twain, and she hung a wind chime on her front porch, and it just made wind chime noises. Well, one morning she came out and it was laying on the porch, so she thought the wind had blown it down. It had been kind of stormy the night before, so she hung it back up. And the next night she comes back out and it's back down on the porch, and the hook had been torn out. So she goes, well, that's weird. So she says, well, maybe like raccoons were climbing on or something, and just the weight. So she puts it back up there, The next night she comes out, next morning she comes out, and it has been stomped flat on the deck. So clearly, something was not approving of the tone during the night.
Mm-hmm.
Another encounter I took also from near the Mark Twain was a guy who he was staying at a deer hunting cabin that didn't have electricity, and they had a generator running to keep like the little ice box cold and stuff. And the generator suddenly went off just died during the night. And he's like, I just gassed that thing up. What's going on? So they go out and look, and the generator's gone. So the next day they come out, and it is 100 feet from the cabin, about 60 feet up a tree.
Yeah.
That's sending a message for
Oh.
It
sure.
was one of those little portable generators that you can
Too
carry. It
much.
had a little lawnmower
Yeah.
engine on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good 100 feet from the cabin, about 60 feet up
Wow.
the tree.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Look at what
interesting.
time it is.
Yeah.
What time it is, kids?
He's like, I don't know what did it, but we didn't stick around to find out either.
Yeah. I would.
Man.
Yeah,
How the heck are you going to get
Steve
it
put a
down
comment
now
in.
at this point?
Yeah. Well, they got
Steve
it
made
now.
Steve made a comment. It says Mark Zasky, there's people missing out there. Yeah, there is. In that research area, I know, well, especially in Palm Beach, there's a lot of people missing out in the swamp areas that go missing. I mean, they find
Also makes
bodies
you
all the
wonder how
time out
many
there, even bodies that
people
rip
who-
apart.
Like homeless
You know.
people who set up camps out away from town. How many of them have gone missing because they don't get reported? And the police probably wouldn't even look at it anyway. They'd be like, it's a transient population. They probably just moved on. If homeless people are getting picked off, we'd probably never know.
Yeah.
You're 100%
They don't live on
right
the
about
grid.
that.
I know
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's out by you guys, where you guys are in Palm Beach. Am I correct?
South
Yeah.
Palm Beach, more Broward.
Yeah.
I live right on the
Okay.
like literally right on the Broward County line, and
Mhm.
my mom lives in Broward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to live. I used to live in Sunrise. I went to high school there. Went to City of Sunrise. I went to Piper High.
You did
me too.
not. So
I
did
did
Matt.
too. Where? What year?
What year?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? What year? I was
Yeah, what
graduating
year?
class of 2012.
Oh God, I left there in '88. 1988, I was gone. Damn.
Got a
Yeah.
second super
Awesome.
chat of the night from William Bedard. It says, surprise show. Good to see you, Doc. You used to use your kit this week for Band-Aids. More camera money, Anthony.
Hey, thanks, man. He's sending me
That's
camera
awesome.
money. Yeah. Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's where I lived. I lived in City of Sunrise. That's where I was. We moved from upstate New York to there. That's where we moved to. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
it's
old
a very
stomping
very fun city.
grounds, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
small
my old
world. It's
stomping
a
grounds.
small world.
I know.
It's a
Yeah.
small world.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny
Yeah,
that like you find out that you're more connected to people than you
Mhm.
initially
Oh, yeah.
realize, and you're so you're gravitated. I mean, hey, I like them, and they're good people, et cetera, et cetera. And then you just find out, hey, listen, me and you apparently went to the same school.
Right.
Like
Yeah, that's
it's
crazy.
little
That
things
is
like
nuts.
that.
Yeah, I wrestled for them. I was on the wrestling team, everything. Yeah.
So did
That's
Matt.
So
Yeah.
did I.
Who's the
did
coach?
too.
Who's your coach back then?
Oh man, I don't
God.
remember.
That's a
I
lot
don't
of years.
remember. I did a lot of different sports.
Yeah.
Sports.
Track,
I actually
baseball,
got hurt. I got hurt.
soccer.
wrestling.
Yeah,
And that was the
basically-
end of my.
I basically wrestled, and that was it. My coach used to coach was assistant coach for the United States Olympic wrestling team at the time. That's who we had. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I can't believe you went to Piper. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bengals. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I
the
remember.
Bengals.
The Bengals. Holy shit, man. That's nuts.
It's
Small
a small
world.
world.
Wow.
It really is, man.
I want
Yeah,
to
I'm
come
on-
up to the Ocala National Forest. That's where I want.
I told you
I
guys,
wanna-
yeah, when you guys are ready,
I-
yeah, come on up.
Yeah, I want to come up there. I
Yeah, when
mean,
you guys are
I
ready.
We
love.
could try and set something up for June. I mean, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
June, July, end of
July.
July, maybe.
I loved Cold Creek in the Green Swamp. I
Yeah.
actually, when Matt and I, we went with Connor and Matt's wife, the four of us went, and I loved the vibe of that place. Like it just felt so, I want to say energized, but I don't mean energized. I mean, like
Right.
it made you feel good to be there. The only time that I felt because we did have an interaction that happened, it took place, and after it was over, I kind of pushed Matt and Connor were kind of to my right, and I saw this like really interesting like tree that was. I feel like it was Sasquatch that put it there because it was this it was a cypress tree that was pushed
Mhm.
and it was down, and they wedged it in between 4 other trees. And I saw that to my left, there to my right, and after the interaction was over, I pushed past them, and I went up and I was looking at it, and I was just kind of admiring it, going, "Oh my gosh, how did this even get here? How could it? It's not even possible for it to land perfectly in between a tree and a tree and a tree and a tree. No way, it couldn't." So I'm sitting there and I'm
Right.
admiring it, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden, I felt like a push, a gentle push towards me, and it was like I got the absolute impression, don't cross. This is where you stop. Like, this is where you're supposed to stop. Don't pass this. And other than that, I mean, that was the only thing that was negative in the entire trip that we did that day. But I love it there. The vibe there was absolutely, it was special. It was special.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's
I'm
different here in
looking forward.
Ocala. Ocala is not
Is
that.
it?
Yeah, Ocala is not that swampy. It's not that swampy. It's mostly
Mhm.
pines, sand pines. You get your swampy areas out in certain areas, but not like the green swamp.
Do you have a lot of hogs
It's
there?
yes, we do have a lot of pigs up here. That'll
Okay.
tell you, a lot of pigs,
Okay.
and a lot of. If you carry, I will tell you this: bring your firearm with you.
No, I
It's not
won't.
just
I
for the
don't.
pigs. There's a lot of oh well, don't worry, I got
I
mine,
don't.
so don't worry about it. There's a lot of
Okay. That works.
unwanted people out in the forests. That's it. That's all I got to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
A lot of druggies, a lot of meth heads. So you got to be careful up this way. So
According to
that's what you gotta worry
NCIC,
about.
over 600,000 people are reported missing every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I would say, I can tell you this from experience, a good number of those are probably people that were reported missing and then showed up later, but not all of them. And a lot of those are ones that just went missing under mysterious circumstances and no leads were ever found. Now, I would say a big chunk of that, I would say significant chunk of that missing probably equates to human trafficking. But we see how many people we've got missing in the missing 411 cases and how many people outside national parks go missing without getting reported as well.
Yes. Yes.
So
Right.
I would say a 600,000 number when we're not able to actively take a census of homeless people or people who have crossed the border under less than legal circumstances, since
Right.
they're not actually part of the polling, I would guess that number is probably
Probably a
significantly
lot higher.
higher.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's
I
stories
can
of
agree to
people
that.
coming across the border that come up missing all the time. You
Well, the
know,
U.S.
family
Border Patrol
members that come home.
seen packs
Yeah.
of Dogman along the border.
Yeah. It's crazy. The stories that you hear about.
And
So-
then there's an account from the U.S. Border Patrol along the Canadian border where a Border Patrol agent and his wife and kid went camping, and they came in and found the campsite destroyed and no sign of him or his family.
Wow. And where was that at?
That was up
Yeah.
along the U.S.-Canadian border, I believe, in
Wow.
Minnesota.
Gosh.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. A lot
And there was
of
no
weird
other
stuff
sign of any other
happening.
vehicle going in there. It was just his vehicle and their campsite. Their campsite had basically just been destroyed, broken firearms, and he was gone, him and his wife and daughter.
Yeah, Da, do you remember the podcast that Cam Buckner did on the Dixie Cryptid podcast? It was about this geologist. She was like in her early mid
Yes.
20s, and
Fantastic,
they were
fantastic story.
deep underground in the Appalachian cave system, and they were deeper than what they thought humans had ever been. And they came across clothing and backpacks and firearms and bones and everything else down, several miles below. So, I mean, there's some of your missing folks right there in the cave systems.
Mhm.
Well,
I would agree.
that one Bigfoot chased her and chased
Yep.
out the rest of the geologist out of there.
Yep.
I mean, she
Sure
was
did.
telling the story about it. So
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we know the Bigfoot creatures are capable of extreme violence, but we also have a number of encounters where people report completely innocuous and peaceful encounters, and a few rare reports. Again, these are anecdotal reports. We don't know if there's 100% truth to them or any truth at all. We have to take each report for what it is and examine it for the elements within the story. But there are some stories where they talk about loggers who had a tree fall on them who was rescued by a Bigfoot, or somebody that gets lost in the woods and a Bigfoot escorts them back out. There are those stories, but for every one of those, there's 5, like the guy in Alaska who had anchored his boat off the Kenai Peninsula. He was hunting in the Kenai, but he was sleeping on his boat. And that during the night, a Bigfoot creature got on his boat, killed his dog, and almost killed him. He managed to get a couple of shots off and drove it away. He made it back to port, relayed his story, and died before they could get him to the hospital.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. I mean, it's just like we always talk about on a lot of these shows. I mean, there's good ones, there's bad ones. It's just like if you look at the tribal concept, there's peaceful tribes, there's not so peaceful tribes, and so I think that's what these folks may encounter. It depends on which tribe they meet, which is what their encounter turns out to be.
As an investigator, I try to
examine.
That, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No. I'm just saying that I think that the idea is that you should have as much respect for these creatures as you would standing next to a damn tiger.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Listen, I'm a firm believer of the fact that I think that they're hyper intelligent. I think that they are capable of immense acts of kindness. But if I'm putting it in a position where its child, it might feel like it's in danger, or they feel like its child is being endangered. I fight for my kids. I'll fight to defend my home to my death. So will they. And we always have to remember that at the end of the day, just like they are, capable of killing, so are we. They can't be that much different from us. And that also breathes the same light and tangent. They probably have their own version of a psychopath too. To some degree, they have somebody who on however their brains work is not mentally there and is capable of doing outward random acts of violence. For all the things that
humans, sure would be among them as well, I would think.
Well, I mean, there's cases of that type of stuff being documented amongst like chimpanzees too. Like they have their own chimpanzees that that do some really shady stuff within the troop, and then they freaking either stone him or exile him or whatever, and he's not allowed to be a part of the troop. It's a common thing that happens in nature. There's always going to be an aberration of some degree where there was not proper, evolution in growth development stages, whatever you want to call it. There's always going to be somebody who's got to have some problems. And, for what he's worth, Todd Standing is Todd Standing. But one of the coolest stories that I think Todd Standing has ever said was the one where he's talking about there was 2 backpackers that came all the way from the UK to his research area, and they were starting to get attacked by a Sasquatch. The Sasquatch was trying to steal the female of the group.
He was trying to kidnap her. And
then another Sasquatch ran up and said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was 3 direct words, and the last one was the first one was Kubota, then there was something in the middle, and then the last word was Ina. So somehow it also knew that woman's name, and it was motioning him to put the person down. And then he kind of just stormed off and ran off into the woods like he was afraid that his dad was going to kick his butt. That's kind of how the story went. But it was very interesting. There's a lot of data that can be found off of that because it shows that, hey, listen, there are bad ones, but there are also good ones that are also willing to step up and be like, hey, bad one, you need to stop what you're doing too.
And they had bear spray with them, and they tried during the encounter. They tried to use the bear spray, and he outmaneuvered the bear spray. Like,
I can tell you from law enforcement,
know?
pepper spray doesn't always work.
No,
I've sprayed
Yeah.
people that just shook their head and came right back at me.
even
When you're
tasers.
mad and
Even
when
a
your
taser won't
adrenaline
work
is
half the
really
time.
going, yeah. There's tons of
But I mean,
videos on
even you-
YouTube about tasers not
Yeah.
working.
but I mean, even us as human beings, if you attack us, we're going to go primal on you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's going to happen. So, I mean,
That's the nature of it.
exactly. So, you know, the difference between, I feel like, the Sasquatch and, I don't know, some of the other cryptids, they're absolutely 100% self-aware. We're not talking about, you know, it's like they are self-aware. So they can reason, they can, you know, I mean, it's very different than just instinct. Does that make, I don't know, does it make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes
It's
total
different than
sense.
just
No,
instinct.
you're making sense. You make
You
total
know?
sense.
They're
You know, it's like
self-aware.
everybody.
So,
I'm probably gonna get hate mail on here and hate this, and I won't go out in the woods unless I'm carrying either
Oh,
with
I don't check my
my
mail
rifle
without a gun on.
or pistol or bolt. And I'm sorry, you know, even if something charges me and I don't know, you know, if I know it's 10 foot tall and it's ripping trees out of the ground coming towards me, I'm sorry, but it's either me or them. It's going to be them. I'm going to put up a fight, you know.
I always carry because I live in a place where there's a significant portion of the population that at one time in my career I probably placed handcuffs on. So
oh yeah,
I
yeah,
always carry.
oh yeah.
My wife and I will
Not
go
a
into a
good
restaurant.
idea.
I'll look back in the kitchen and go, "Nope, we're not eating here."
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yeah. That's how it is in Ocala in this area. Same thing. Same thing. You know, I don't go out. I don't go out of the house unless I carry. That's just it. No matter where I go.
Yeah. I don't personally own a firearm, but I bring weapons with me. Like, I'm not gonna just let myself be completely vulnerable to what's out there.
Right.
My perfect. This is just me, and this is just a weird thing, kind of just about me. And you know, I know that I probably will get a lot of hate for this because, but I feel like if I'm gonna kill something, I need to do it with my hands. Taking something's life should not be easy. I don't hunt,
Right.
and I don't feel like
1,000-pound primate. Your hands may not work.
Hey, listen, I'm not trying to. I don't use, like I said,
Yeah.
I
You're
I
gonna be
carry a
Stretch
hatchet and a
Armstrong.
machete. If it happens, it happens. I pray that it never does. And if I have the option to not kill it versus kill it, I'm going to try to not kill it. I'm going to try to run. I'm going to try to find other ways and means to protect myself. But
When are you coming to Ocala?
that's just whenever
I want
you
some of
man.
those. I want some of those things that Nick Valente uses. The ones that those flash bomb things. That's what I want. I want some of those.
Those
Yeah,
flash
I don't
bangs?
know how much-
Flashbangs?
I don't know
Is
how
that
much
what
the
flash
flash
bangs
bangs
are actually
is?
going to work.
There's some kind of, what is it? A flash grenade? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's
Flash,
an
a
electronic
flashbang.
strobe with a sound.
Yeah, I want one of those.
I would not bet my life on that. I just simply would not.
No, I'm
But
sorry.
I would feel like a
No,
superhero.
450. Listen, no, 450 Bushmaster AR. That does the trick every time. I'm sorry. It'll put anything
I've been told that.
down. That's how I look at it. I'm sorry. So woods. That's what's going with me.
That's
So-
fine. I have no complaints about that.
I've got
None.
zero interest in killing a cryptid. Just don't want to do
No.
it.
No.
Yeah,
I carry
I
because
don't
I
either. I don't
I
wanna
intend to
do
come
it.
home.
Just like
Yeah.
Matt.
There are things out there that can and
Matt
will
doesn't
hurt
wanna
you
do
that
it.
have
I
nothing to
don't
do with cryptids,
Want to do it.
and you have every right to defend yourself and bring yourself home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and
100%.
sometimes the biggest danger that you aren't going to face is going to be from other humans. So I definitely go armed, but I
Right.
have no intention of shooting anything
Yeah.
unless I
No.
absolutely have no other choice. I don't advocate killing a cryptid. I don't advocate hunting one. I think we can prove their existence without a body.
I agree.
I agree.
I refuse to I don't even want to be that guy that brings one in. I have no desire on that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I will continue to gather evidence through research and things like that. And again, the only way I will shoot one is if I have no other choice.
Right.
Yeah, a last option. That to me, that'd be akin to killing a human being in self-defense,
agree.
because I believe
Yeah.
they're, like we've all talked about, they're sentient
Exactly.
beings, and I would, like DA said, I echo what he says, and it would just be a self-defense thing. But at the end of the day, I've got a wife and kids I got to come home to, and
Yes.
grandkids, and I want to make sure that I can watch them grow old, and that's the long and short of it.
Judy Wheeler says,
Yeah.
just don't piss them off. Sometimes you don't have to even piss it off. You could get too close to, walk around the corner of a trail and step between a mother bear and her cubs, and you're in a world of hurt. Or you just catch something in a bad mood. You don't even have to do anything to piss it off.
Yeah.
Just like some humans, sometimes I think they might be perpetually pissed off. I don't know. I mean, who?
God forbid you step
Good
out of
point.
a clearing into an illegal grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to
You
me
may come under heavy fire.
Yeah.
on a hunting lease that I was on. Some guys were growing. I had no idea they were growing shit out there.
Yep.
I totally made a U-turn and went the other way. I'm like, yep, time to go. You don't want to run into
You're
that
like,
kind of
I'm
shit.
out.
No.
Yeah,
No,
and some of these creatures can be very aggressive, and I don't just mean Bigfoot. I know lots of stories of people being attacked by mountain lions. Bears will attack and kill people.
Mhm.
Black bears less likely to do it, but they're still completely capable. I mean, if you were to walk around a corner and trip over a cub, mama bear's coming,
Yeah.
and
I think it's
500-600 pounds of bear is going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah. I think it's very important that people always remember that, when we're out doing these kinds of things, there is some research that's involved,
Right.
We want to know what's in that area, what animals are in that area,
Right.
what's around there, is it swamp? Is it dry? Is it, you do need to do a little research because you
Be
do need
aware
to
of what's in your
prepare.
surroundings.
You need to prepare because if you're not prepared,
Mhm.
a lot of bad things can happen. So you do have to be careful about how you go about doing these kinds of investigations and researching because you have to put a little time into this because it could mean your life.
Yeah,
Very
be
well could.
informed. Be informed. That's a
Be
good
informed.
point.
Or
to
the
bring
life
up,
of somebody
Marty.
you care about.
Yeah, because before we would deploy,
Mhm.
part of our military intel brief was, hey, what's the indigenous flora and fauna there? What's gonna
Yep.
because it may not be the dudes with guns that are gonna injure you. It may be something on four legs or some kind of plant
Or-
that you don't know.
Yep.
So
Reach to climb over a rock and get bit in the face by a snake.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danger noodle.
Oh, yeah.
I hate danger noodles. Oh my god, I hate snakes
Yeah.
so bad.
I'm a firm believer there's only two kinds of snakes in this world. Kind of snake that'll kill you and the kind of snake that'll make you kill yourself trying to get away from it.
I agree.
I'm with you there,
Welcome to
Dan.
Florida.
I'm with you there.
Florida, there's a
Yeah.
lot of them. Trust me. Oh, boy.
I'm
Yeah.
bringing my.
I
I'm
have a
bringing
lot
my
of hollow
snake boots.
points, so
I'm
me and
bringing
the
my
snakes
snake
will have an
boots.
understanding.
Yeah, when I come down there to see you in October, Anthony, I'm bringing my snake boots, dude. Believe me.
Yeah, you need to. You
Ugh.
need to in
I got
October.
my snake boots.
God,
Yeah.
I hate snakes.
Because even when down here they even Matt and Marty will tell you the snakes in Florida are like
dude,
No
nuts.
joke.
I
You also
grew up
have the
as a-
Greater North American Murder Log down
Yeah.
there too.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
grew up-
Alligators.
I grew up in Mississippi, man. So we have all the snakes, we have the gators. So yeah,
See, but they don't bother you, man. Gators don't really bother you. Like everybody's
No.
all the alligator.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I've been hog hunting out in the swamp. I've actually been up to my waist in water trying to grab my dogs, and there'd be gators in the water. They're
There
more
was
scared of you. I
just
mean,
an
you
article
might-
in the news yesterday where someone was killed by an alligator in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Right. I mean, but you get those rare
Fast.
cases.
Ooh.
Those are rare cases where you
They
get
all right.
right. I mean, if you go into an area that there's a bull gator and it's mating season, very aggressive.
Yeah,
Very
and
aggressive.
you'll hear them too. You'll hear them too, Anthony. You'll hear them.
Yeah, you don't go there. You're like, okay, we're not going to go there. You know, I
Here's
mean,
a good
but
question from Willamette Valley Cryptids had a great question.
She says
Solid
illegal
question.
grow ops makes me wonder if that is what's pissing some Bigfoot off. They might be killing off family groups to secure grow locations. Anyone ever considered that possibility? Actually, that possibility has come up. There are reports out of Northern
Wow.
California
Yeah.
where groups of Bigfoot got very, very violent and encountered heavy fire. As a result,
That's
people in the area started going missing because these Bigfoot were enraged that these pot growers were killing off Bigfoot that got too close
Yep.
to their crops.
Yep.
Well, they made a documentary
Wow.
about it. They made a
Yeah, I was
documentary.
just about to say it's on
about it.
Hulu.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
documentary.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah.
They made
Yeah.
a big documentary about it. Now, how true is that story? Nobody knows. You know, they tried finding
Yeah, nobody
eyewitnesses
knows.
about it, but
But it's plausible.
No, 100%.
Exactly.
oh,
That's
it's
something you gotta take into
100%.
account. That's something you got to take into account with Bigfoot stories. You know,
Mhm.
the possibility of every story you've ever been told being fiction is real. The thing is, there are certain things you can look for in a story. There's consistency in the telling. If they've told you the story 6 times and it's changed each time, probably made it up. You can also look for things within the story that makes sense. The consistency of the story is just the beginning. The body language, how they react to telling the story, the plausibility of the story, and you can gauge that for yourself. Everybody's got a different level of what they believe is plausible, but if they if they tell you that Bigfoot came riding out of the woods on a unicorn, and basically they sat around a campfire and smoked marijuana together, odds are really good. I'm going to go.
yeah.
Only happens in
I'm thinking this
Colorado.
one's BS.
Only happens in Colorado, man. Only here in Colorado.
I got a good one. I got a good one. Marty, I got a good one. You had Nick on your show, and I watched your show when you had him on. And
Oh,
you were
thank
talking you were talking about that picture that you took out, I think it was in Palm Beach, or you spotted one, and
No.
when you got home the picture didn't look the same as what you seen.
Yeah.
You were telling
And
him the
Matt's-
story, you said it looked more of like a dog.
Yeah, Matt, and it's funny. And listen, guys, we don't put everything we get out, okay? Because
Right.
I can't confirm what it really is. It looks to me
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a dog man. What I saw that day was this thing that I have this in this photo is kind of like it's gray. It's like gray and blackish, right? But what I saw
Right.
that day was like an amber color. And I saw it like from here up. And what I saw from here up looked human. It looked human.
Hmm.
But it was like this amber color, and its skin was kind of like a light gray. And that's what I saw.
Okay.
Now, when the photos that I got, that's not what was in my photo. It's like a grayish, blackish thing. But now Matt will tell you he doesn't even think that it's anything. I do. I see it. When I look at that photo, I see it plain as day. But Matt doesn't like have the same. He's like, no, Ma, there's nothing there.
All
It's
right.
not. That's not.
That's the thing about
All right,
photo
all right.
and video
But
evidence.
that's okay. But I'm not
is
gonna. I'm not
A
gonna.
lot
But
of
I'm
that is
not gonna.
about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. But I'm not gonna put out something that I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if I can't vet it somehow, I'm not gonna put it out
Right.
there. I'm just not.
Right.
I'm not gonna put it out
But
there.
that's the thing about video or photographic evidence is a lot of it is open to interpretation by the individual viewer. What one person sees in an image, the rest of us might not see.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of images
Yeah.
I see, I'm convinced are just pareidolia.
Yeah. I did send the photos to Nick, but he never, I don't know, probably a month ago, but he never got back to me. So I don't know what that means. Maybe he hasn't had time. He's a busy guy, so no worries. But
And all right, just to kind of explain why I disagree with her photograph is because she took her photograph with an iPhone, and
Yeah.
she zoomed in. It's digital zoom, and digital zoom, as we talked about earlier, when you blow something up digitally, you're losing quality. And for me,
that's
it's
true.
just so.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to that photograph, there was a photograph that was taken with a Canon
Yes.
in the same spot the same day that actually caught that head that she's seen from a different angle popping down
with a cannon. Yeah.
With the cannon.
Really?
And it is
So when
much clearer. It's much clearer. I mean,
and when
granted,
I saw that,
it still lurks like a brown amber blur.
Yeah.
But you can definitely see the shape of a head popping out of the bush. It is completely different than every piece of green bush around it. So to me, that's what I look for to be convincing. Nice. Is what I'm looking at not possibly blending in with its environment, where it could be something, okay, well, maybe this is a stump, maybe this is a tree branch, maybe this is just a bush. I look for things that are aberrations, that are the abnormal, because that to me is what makes the most sense. If I went out and put myself in the same position and I pop my head up, am I going to look like a bush? Or am I going to look like I have a head? Well, then I'm going to, that's just the most logical thing for me. So that's why I kind of have the discrepancy between what she sees and what I see in it, because from a different angle, it was also captured at that same moment. Luckily, it just happened to be by chance, because my wife, she's really into the still photography. So she was just she just happened to be snapping photographs in the same direction that she's seen it. And she caught it popping its head up, and that's all we got is just it popping its head up, and so I have something. We have something that can verify, we can use to support the story, but you don't see us publicly trying to say, she's seen this and this is for sure what it is. I don't operate that way. That's just me.
We're not doing that.
To me, I will gladly wait the next 20 years for the crystal clear shot, if it means that I did not manipulate my own narrative to fit a photograph in any way. And that's just me. I know that's not the same for other people. I know people want content and views, and they want to try and push the needle on the subject as far as they can. But that's just me.
Right.
I won't do it.
Matt and I have talked at length about what we put out and what we don't put out.
Right. You have to be careful.
Yeah, because and it's not even for, we don't want people calling us hoax, or it's not even just for that. It's, we're not going to put something out that we know, and unless we've been able to find a way to vet our evidence, whether that be in the paranormal community, whether that be, it doesn't matter to us. We're going to always try to vet our evidence.
Right.
With people that we know are legit, who are, experts in certain fields. And we feel like it would be irresponsible to put stuff out there that we can't vet.
100%, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you.
Or at least go back and see if you can recreate the photo in the same spot.
Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I know in the video we took down at the Joe Bald Recreation Area, the old abandoned campground, we went back to the exact same spot and were not able to recreate what we captured on film the first time. It wasn't there.
Right.
Which, leads me to believe we did capture something moving on film. I know what I think it is, but the video is so grainy.
And you didn't even know that you got it, right?
No,
it was
not
like
for
a
like a
very
year and a
long
half.
time. Right. Yeah, it was a long time before someone else saw it or something, right?
Right. We were talking about the Lakeview Man on a podcast, and I just showed that little video clip, and one of the guys in the audience was like, "Hey, something moved back there," and even then, I was like, "No, it didn't." And he was like, "No, I'm telling you, something moved behind." Told us what location. Yeah. And I got a couple of friends who are really good at video analysis. They're like, "Yeah, there's something back there." And when they sent me the first photos, I was looking at them and going, it felt like somebody dumped ice water down the back of my shirt, because we were 30 yards away from it and never saw it.
And Steve went out there to take a leak on that tree.
Yeah, that exact tree.
If it had seen
Oh
something,
my gosh.
if it had seen something, it'd been taking a poop too involuntarily.
Yeah, we'd been lucky if he was wearing his brown pants.
Yeah,
You ain't
exactly.
Trying to shake it out as he ran back to the van.
I think it's very important that you try to recreate some of these things. You can find out a lot of information by recreations.
Right. Yeah.
We actually have one that's a part of our film because it's one of the main pieces of evidence that got us to go to the location. And, we stuck 2 fairly large humans in the same exact spot. And, the original picture, it's just like, it would have had to have been the most massive man I've ever seen, and
Right.
you find out. Yeah.
I went back to the spot where we filmed it. I'm just shy of 6 foot, 270. And my head wasn't even close to where the head was in the picture.
Yeah, because hey, listen, I am whatever. I think I'm like 5'8", somewhere around there. So I know that wherever I put myself in a recreation, I know that actual height. I'm giving something that doesn't have a variable for data, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like something that we don't know how tall a Sasquatch could truly be. We don't know,
Right. No.
How much they weigh. But when we put somebody where we have actual data and we go, okay, all right, well, I'm 5'8", I'm 200 pounds. Put me up against that same tree in the same spot, and bang, okay. If what was originally captured on the original image is way out of those proportions, right? Because I would like to say that I'm the average build of, my arms and legs are properly proportionate to the, to humans, to the human data referencing points, right? My arms are accurate, but you have something that is, shorter legs, longer torso, longer arms, canid snout. Right. Like that's, when those are the things that we should be looking for. And like, okay, so you get a picture of a Dogman and you're looking for those qualities. You should be looking for those qualities. Does it have haunches? Does it have, the snout? Is it bearing any teeth? Does it have the more boxy head that a canid would have? Or is it more, conical? Is it more sloped? Like, it's not hard to try and recreate something to get more data out of the experience. And I think it's vital to what we should be doing. We shouldn't be going, okay, I have this photograph and I'm going to try and paint the narrative around it. I'm going to try and find as much science as I can off of Google and from this professor in Taiwan who said that, light can bend in this weird way. Like it's kind of, for me personally, it's misinformation. It's misinformation when you're manipulating your pseudoscience to make it seem like it's science. No, it's not science.
Right.
You're 100%, man. You should try to extrapolate as much scientific data from what evidence is presented to you by any means possible. Just like when DA and Steve, I think it was Steve, were up at Joe Bald, and they panned across, and it was just in the photo, and it was a frame freeze of this something peeking out with a hand above the tree.
They went back to that tree.
They went back to that tree, and how high was the hand where you saw the hand?
The hand would have been about at my head level.
Yeah.
Can you put it up, DA?
Let me make sure I've still got it.
Matt, have you seen that photo?
I want to say I have. Yeah.
That thing.
You can see the hand at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of red circles, but and is what it is.
That thing's crazy.
I mean, you went back and you took a picture in that same exact spot to try to recreate exactly the height of what that would have been had you been standing there.
This shot, you can see it's ducking back behind the tree.
Mm-hmm.
There's another shot with the hand. Actually, this one's a better shot of the hand.
I mean,
I went back over that tree, and my head would have been about level with where the hand is at.
Yeah.
So
So I mean,
they don't know what it is. It could have been,
to
homeless person, could have been a dog man, could have been anything.
It would have been a 9-foot tall homeless person. If you look at this,
Yeah, right.
this bridge right here, if you look just on the other side of it, the tree to the left, not the one at the far left, the one straight back into the left, that's the tree.
Okay.
I mean, but you use that data. You try to extrapolate all the information out of that data that you have, and I'm a fan of that because it's not like it's like what Matt's saying. You're not sitting there, okay, well, this is what it is because I say it's what it is. Like you said, the pseudoscience.
Right.
It's real science. Look, man, I'm putting my biological self up against this tree to show you where another possibly biological being was, and there you take from it what you will.
Yeah. Like science is just man's current understanding of the natural world around us.
Correct.
It should constantly be evolving. We have things that are being debated and debunked every single day. And listen, if it comes to find out that, some of these there is a science that can eventually be applied to support some of these information, like orbs and all these these things that people consider to be woo and taboo to even speak about, right, in the realm of science. I think that eventually those things will be discovered and explained, but we have to be willing to just not dismiss it. We can't just dismiss it and say no, we're not going to, because that can't be real. You don't know what the world is capable of. We have been here for a very small amount of time in compared to how long the Earth has been here.
My buddy he went back out to that Joe Bald location during the day to take some photos, and I don't know if you can see that, but he said he didn't even see that at the time. When he was looking at the photos later, he was fairly certain something was watching him, and he said that's a really grainy photo, but there's something that's not quite the same color as the trees. It looks like it's peeking out. What it is, I don't know. Yeah, it's not clear enough to tell, but he said he felt like he was being watched in broad daylight while he was out there.
Yeah. It very may well be. It may very well be that something was watching him, and that is it. But we don't have the science to support it, so we need to work towards finding the science that's going to support it. And we have to also be willing to try and capture it in ways that are the most healthy to produce the best quality of evidence.
Right.
Taking a picture of something and then blowing it up on digital zoom when if you can go on Google right now and look up digital zoom versus optical zoom and see what the internet says, because it's going to tell you that optical zoom is much better, and it'll tell you that when you use digital zoom, you're losing quality because you're magnifying tiny pixels. You're blowing them up, and it's just not conducive to being able to say this is for sure tangible, hard evidence, irrefutable. Because that's what we want. That's what we all want. We want irrefutable, tangible evidence. So we don't necessarily want one in a zoo, but we want something that's going to say, hey, this is the nail in the coffin. These guys are real. And, I feel like we kind of already have that for Bigfoot. I feel that the Patterson-Gimlin film should be that for people at this point. So I really hope that you guys are the ones that get that for the Dogman. I really do.
Did anybody
else?
Did anybody else just see that orb that was behind Matt just now?
No, I don't think that was
an orb. Didn't even notice it.
I don't think it was an orb.
Well, look back now on the show.
It might be the neighbor. Yeah, it's probably just the neighbor pulling up in their driveway.
Are you where you are? Are you at your normal spot in your house?
I'm in front of my computer.
That's what I thought. So it was over your left shoulder. It was like this white,
Yeah, the window's slightly open. So it might be the neighbor.
Matt,
that was weird.
Matt and Marty, listen, after the show gets off the air, I want you guys to stay on just for a little bit. I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead. You can ask me anything.
I know. I don't want it on the air. I want to do it off the air. So I want to just talk to you about something. So.
Sure.
Hey, look. And here's another thing I want to say too, since I have a moment to say this. I know that things can be said behind the scenes. And
Right.
look, that's fine. That's gravy. You tell people things in confidence and you expect it to not go anywhere.
Exactly.
You know, and I try to give that to everybody. I do. I've worked with some people. I have some things that, you know, have happened that I've never shared with people. And that's just,
Right.
you know, I have my reasons for not wanting to share those things. And that's fine. Not everything that happens behind the scenes has to be a public thing, right? Just because we get up here a couple times a week and we're public entertainers doesn't mean that we publicly have to divulge everything about what we're doing 24/7 to everybody, or
Exactly.
that. And the reason I'm saying this is because that doesn't necessarily make you a dishonest person. And,
No.
I feel like that happens sometimes when people when people hear that other people are having, you know, private conversations about others behind their backs, and you know, in other chats, and their names are being brought up, and things of that nature. You know, it's harmful in a way, but I understand it.
Mhm.
You know, look, I have conversations with my mom all the time about crazy, all kinds of stuff. You know,
Exactly.
you know, it is what it is. People
No,
are
this
going to talk,
I
but
wanted
it
to,
doesn't make you a dishonest person.
no, I wanted to ask you about, you know, Ocala and coming up. That's what I didn't want to do it on the air. I wanted to do it
Oh,
off.
well, no. That's no. I wasn't saying that. I was just making that general statement because I know that
Oh
sometimes.
yeah, I know.
When
I know what you're saying. I get
think
you.
that-
Believe me.
I hope so, and I hope that people do, because I'm trying to say something without really getting too into like a specific thing, but
You don't
I
have
do
to, man.
know.
It's all good. Trust
Yeah.
me. We're the same way here. You know, I speak my mind. That's what gets me in trouble, and I do. DA will tell you. So if people get pissed off at me and I say something and I don't agree with someone, I'm sorry, but I just don't. You know, that's my belief and that's what I believe in. But you know, I mean,
You know,
that's
for
where
the
this
most part, I
community-
will say most things on in a public forum. I feel like this is just me as someone who's been a part of radio, and I try to say things that if I'm going to say something, it should be something that everybody can hear. You know, but
There's a level
there
of
are times for closed doors.
There's a level of transparency.
No,
I think that we all try to keep a level of transparency, but yet there are going to be things that, you know, as an example, I'm just going to throw this out as an example, like a possible location of maybe where Sasquatch are, where you research, right? You don't want to divulge that to everybody in the planet. You know what I mean?
And it's not like you're trying to keep your research site secret. It's
right.
It's tough to get positive results when you go to do something and 25 people show up.
Right. And if it's a research area where Matt and I go all the time and they're comfortable with us, and then someone else shows up, possibly that could be dangerous for those people. You know, you just never know how that, you know, so there is, you know, as much as we try to be transparent with everyone and the entire community, there are still things that do need to be protected and do need to be safeguarded, you know.
Everybody, listen, like I said, everybody gets butt hurt in this community. You know, everybody. I don't, me personally.
Way too sensitive. Everybody's a little too sensitive.
Right.
Sometimes.
I could give a flying fuck about what anybody else thinks about me. I'm sorry. And DA knows that. Doc knows that. Anybody that gets to know me knows that. You know, like I said, I speak my mind. I tell it like it is, and that's it. But, you know, if I don't want to, how can I put this without sounding like an asshole? If
you know, like Anthony, you're treading on.
I know. You know, there are certain researchers that I disagree with. Let's put it like that. I'm going to put it like that.
Well,
okay,
you know,
and certain people that I don't believe are telling the truth.
Of course.
Okay.
You know, I can agree to that too. There's people that I have opinions about. There's certain, and it's not necessarily that I have an opinion about them. It's I have an opinion about the evidence, and and claims of it being hard factual evidence. And that's what I disagree with. I don't disagree with the person as a person. You know, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to clear that up. You know,
I agree
don't
with you,
have.
I agree with you.
You know, I don't have a problem with anybody personally who's, you know, sharing stuff that they think might be a possible, but label it properly. If you think that this could be something and you want to get other people's opinion, say so. If you say that it's hard evidence, well, then you better have the freaking proof of vetting behind it. Not just, oh, well, I've done enough research to know that that's what it is. That's not not enough.
Right. It's just like Doc. Doc knows the medical. Doc knows medical, okay? And he knows weapons. Just like if you came to me or your mom came to me and said, hey, Aunt, what would be a good gun for me to use my first time? Or Anthony, or you came to me, Matt, and said, hey, what would be good for home defense? You're going to get two different opinions from me and Doc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we might be the same, okay? But that's just somebody that knows what they're talking about, and there's evidence and proof behind it, solid evidence. Okay, this is what you're shooting.
Doc might know you'll get other guys that you say, don't.
You know, other things. Exactly.
You know, but,
exactly.
You know, Doc might be willing to ask me a question because actually, owning a gun has been something that's been kind of on my mind, especially since I've gotten into this. I have thought about carrying one, but one of my issues is that I'm blind in my left eye. So my vision and my depth perception is not as accurate. So I have to take that into account. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
most people don't shoot with both eyes open.
But my brain registers depth perception differently.
Yep.
You can ask my mom how many times did I freaking fly right into the mailbox learning how to ride a bike. I crash vehicle. I'm big into that. So, but that's what I'm saying. So I have a fear, right? But like. Yes. You might ask that question, Doc, but Anthony might not know to ask that question. And getting different opinions on things is very important because you put a piece of evidence or you put a piece of information or a question in front of a person. You might have different information that can shed light on it in one way, and then you might have another piece of information that can shed light on it in another way, and then you have a broader understanding of the evidence or the question that is now in front of you. And I think that's how everything should be done. You can't look at things through your own blinders of years and years, and that's one of the reasons I kind of like what I do, in the sense of I have no outside influences. I don't have a specific educational background that's having me look at science in a specific way. I don't have a mentor or a professor who's telling me to look at the evidence a specific way. And I feel like if somebody tells me to look at evidence in a specific way, that for me that's a red flag. I want to be able to look at it from as many ways possible. So that way I can understand it.
You're being programmed. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't like that.
We have a Facebook group, and we had, somebody posted a bunch of things, and Matt kind of said to the person,
I'll tell this story. All right. So the guy posted like 19 different photographs.
I'm right there.
17 of them were all blurry, out of focus, zoomed up on a computer.
Right there with you.
The last two were interesting. Now I call them like when I see photos like that, they're interesting, right? They're worth like looking into and debunking. Like they're even though they're digitally zoomed in, I'm interested because there's like I can see in there that there's something that's shouldn't be there, right? So that's what I said. I said, hey man, listen, I don't really see what you are saying in like the first majority of them, but the last two photographs you have are really interesting. So the guy got upset with me, like vehemently upset, calling me an idiot, telling me I don't know how to use cameras, telling me I don't know how to use Facebook, telling me I don't know how to use computers, like really insulting me really bad. And I tried to give him the opportunity to calm it down, and it ended up having to be that I had to remove him.
Oh,
And,
I bet you I
I'm not
know
a-
who that person is too. I won't say it on the air, but I'll tell you off the air. But I think I know who it is.
Might be the person we banned
and
from
DA
our
knows
group.
him too. Yeah,
But
DA knows
listen,
him too. So yeah,
I don't have a problem with people posting things and saying, "Hey, look, like this is what I found. Like, what do you guys think this
Right.
is?" Or like, "Hey, I think that this might be Sasquatch. What do you think?" But to come at me
Exactly.
with a bunch of blurry pictures, and when I say, "Hey, listen, I don't really agree with that, but you do have some interesting stuff," because I even threw him the bone. I threw him the bone and said, "Hey, man, you have
Right.
something there that is piquing my interest right now. I'd like to look at it more." Because he also said that it was from a video, right? So if you're going to take a still photograph from a video, you better be able to back up the movement of that creature in the video. Because you
Right.
can't just post a picture and say, "Oh, it
I
turned
agree
its
with you.
face and it popped its head out of the bushes and it looked at me and then it winked at me and then went back behind the bushes."
Right.
Like, all right, well, I want to see that movement
No,
then.
I agree.
Like you
agree.
can't fool me with that stuff. You can't go and then go, "Oh well, it's on my YouTube page. You can go check it for yourself." And then I go check it for myself, and it's nothing there.
Yeah.
That's the
I know.
thing.
I've been on-
I can't
I've been
I
stand
don't
on
know
that.
when they try to
Facebook
pull
like that.
stills from movies or documentaries and claim it as their own.
Yeah.
That always. I like busting people that do that. I'm like, look, this is a still from this documentary, and I know for a fact that's a costume. You didn't take that picture.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Matt, on that. I do. Because I've ran across that and I've talked to DA about it and he knows what I'm talking about. Where people have posted stuff and they're like, well, look at this and look at that. And I'm like, I don't see anything. And right away when I say that, boom, they're attacking me. And I'm like, wait, whoa. I don't see it. I don't see it. You know, and then I'll show it to DA and DA's like, I don't see shit in that picture.
I feel
You
like
know?
if you're going to publicly post something, you have the responsibility to provide information to people who have questions about it. That's just my opinion. If I'm going to post something publicly as evidence, I need to have the information to back it up and say, okay, well, you want to see the video that I took this from? Here it is. You can this is where you can find it. And it is exactly just, stop at X amount of seconds if you want to take, see what I'm talking about, zoom in, whatever the case is. If you're
That's
going
what we
to
did with
publicly make a claim,
Joe Bold video. The original video is available on my YouTube channel, as is our analysis video. The original video is there.
And listen, I'm totally like, look, if he had sent me the video and I watched the video and I seen it and I was like, I would have 100% came to him and be like, hey man, I retract my statement. I see what you're talking about. That is very interesting.
Right.
Kudos on you. I have no problem eating my own words. I will.
Exactly.
But I'm also willing to say to you, hey, listen, I went and watched your video and I still don't see it. And it looks to me like you're blowing it up on your computer and you're trying to pull a fast one. Because there's people that do that. Right. There's people that will do that.
Oh, no.
They'll go, oh, well, this kind of looks like something. Let me blow it up and crop this, crop that, and let me throw it in there.
I believe I agree with you 100%, man. Trust me.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, make you
No,
finish.
you go ahead. No,
I'm done.
I'm done.
I was just kind of curious. Do you guys think that there are people in the community that are literally there to just put out disinformation?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yes.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know, like on purpose.
I've ran into a couple of them so far, and I'm not even like I've been around for 20 years.
To make us look all crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make us look crazy. Yeah, I think so. I do.
Let me put
there's
on my
a guy
hat here and say I agree with that for sure, right?
There's a guy I am absolutely convinced is a misinformation agent, and I'll tell you why. I had a 3D cast that I had showed him, and he just immediately dismissed it as a hoax. He looked at it, and I made a video of it and everything. I have it, showed it to him, on the phone.
Right.
He just looked. He took it like maybe 3 seconds to go, oh no, that's a hoax. Like he went like this. No, man, you're being hoaxed by somebody. And I'm like, You're supposed to be a scientist. You're supposed to be somebody who has a doctorate in this stuff. And you're going to tell me in less than 3 seconds of looking at this that you know for sure it's a hoax print? Whoa, hold up. And this just happens to be somebody who actively tries to debunk a lot of other people. And that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I personally think that he's out there spreading misinformation on purpose. And I'm not, you know, and I have enough integrity to not name him. And, I've gave it a little bit of clues, but you'll probably never be able to guess who it is. There's tons of people.
You don't have to. I think I know already, which I'm not going to say, but it's okay.
No,
don't worry about it.
And the interesting
But my
thing
point
was
is
he said to Matt, "I'm not saying you're a hoaxer. I'm saying somebody hoaxed you." And
yes, he was very clear about that. I'm not saying you're a hoax. So it was.
And I'm like,
he insulted my integrity, and I still have enough integrity to not publicly bash him.
yeah.
If that kind,
Exactly.
there's been a lot of people who I have a lot of good reason to just really just get on them. I have a podcast with a decent following now. It's not super huge, but hey, I have a good amount of people that watch my show every week. There's a lot.
No,
I have
you do, man.
been a part of
I watch
several
it.
situations.
I watch it.
I
could
love his
blow
show.
somebody
It's so
up.
awesome.
I could blow somebody up out of the water, really piss them off, ruin their careers with some things that I know, but I don't.
Mhm.
I don't, because that's not the type of person
That's
that
not
I
what
am.
we're doing. We
You
want to
know
build.
why- you know
we wanna
why you
build
don't do that?
bridges, you know.
You know why you don't do that is because anything it's like I believe karma is a mother bastard to come back on you. Okay, and it will come back and bite you. And I know you're not the type of person. I'm not either. And it's like me. DA knows my story, what's going on right now in my life. I'm the type of person I'm going to confront you face to face.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it over the air. I'm not going to do it by phone because I won't get my point across. When I'm looking at you and I tell you, hey, you're a fucking asshole, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Okay? It's not going to be, well, he kind of doesn't like me or, he's a little mad at me.
Yeah.
No, I don't like you.
Hey,
and I'm going to tell you that.
Anthony, you got to stop sugarcoating shit for us, man.
No, I'm not. That's the whole thing. I'm sorry,
brother.
but I apologize. I'm just.
I believe there are people out there that deliberately spread disinformation, misinformation.
Yeah, there is
to diminish and dilute the solid information that's out there, and to cause to disperse doubt. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the quickest way to cause doubt is to cast aspersions on other information out there, however credible it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Or by posting the most obviously crappy images you can possibly find because it makes all other images look just as crappy by comparison.
Right.
And they think everybody's just posting pictures of the bush in their backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I personally don't want to be look, I personally don't want to be one of those people. Like I think that everybody who's watching this right now is worth the effort, even if it takes me a lifetime. They are all, and the quest for knowledge is worth the effort of sitting out there in the woods trying to get a clear shot. And anything below that is disrespectful, and
I agree.
And a stain on the community, and a stain on the truth. So if we're all here, we're really going to be searching for the truth. Showing anything less than a good picture is not acceptable.
It's
now,
like
I
I said
if you're
to
trying
DA.
to do it from go ahead.
When I do get the equipment and I do start going out and start doing this, and I'm not going to put anything on the channel or in a documentary that cannot be explained as far as people in the comments going, well, I don't see shit. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to do that. If I don't get anything, I don't get anything. That's it. It's not going on the air. It's not going to be shown.
Yeah,
well, plain and simple.
I don't
I'm not going to go, well, it's standing right there.
Evidence. Yeah. The only stuff I've posted that I've gathered on anytime we've gone out collecting information or gathering evidence or searching. It was that Joe Bald video. I don't post other pictures that I've taken in other places because there's nothing in them. That Joe Bald video and the images from it are the only ones that I've gotten that I can say, I think there's something here.
So like, so I've kind of talked about it. Like I'm working on a documentary, right? And I have said so since the very beginning, since I told everybody that this is what I'm working on. I'm not going to post anything in there for the public to see that somebody that I want people to pay for. That's not going to be the truth. That's going to be something that's going to leave them with more questions. I'm going to show you the true events of what really happened. That's the whole point of a documentary, right?
Right.
I'm going to why change it? Why edit it? Why blow a still photo up on a screen and try and paint a picture about it? It's to me that's not a documentary. That's you painting a narrative. Like, look,
you're selling something that's not true.
Well, I'm trying. The difference is I'm not trying to sell something that isn't. No. Even those people, they're not just selling something that isn't true. It might be true, but they don't know it for a fact to be true, and they can't prove it for a fact to be true, and they're selling it as truth. That's what I have a problem with, and I want to make that clear.
I like that.
If you don't know it's true for 100%, you shouldn't say it's true for 100%. Now, if you want to recount your actual experiences that happened to you, and stuff that you had happen to you on film that you were able to catch, that's totally cool. And hey, if you have a blurry picture and you say, "Hey, man, I got this photograph, but this happened to me," and you want to say, "This is my experience. I don't know what it is. What do you think?" Hey, man, post your blurry pictures. It doesn't bother me that way, but don't try to paint it as its absolute truth, because that's what we have a problem.
Right.
Yeah. What people need to realize is there really are no experts in this field. Anybody that claims they're an expert is trying to sell you something. Yes. I don't claim to be an expert in any field whatsoever. Have I gathered knowledge over the years? Yes. Am I willing to share it? 100%. Absolutely willing to share anything I've ever gathered. The thing is I do not claim to be an expert. I will never claim to be an expert because I don't think there ever will be any experts in this field until there's actually specimens to study.
I agree with that.
No, you're right.
I agree with that 100%. There is no experts. If you go right now to the University of Miami and say, "I want to get a degree in cryptozoology," they're going to laugh at you because it's a pseudoscience. There's no real actual degrees that you can be taught. Same thing with ufologists. They're all not like technically accredited programs. Yes, there is information that you can research and learn about and get a degree online for, and and on these other subpar channels, but it's not an actual degree. Right. And anybody who says that they're an expert or that they have a degree in something, they're not necessarily telling you the truth. Because it's not the same degree as if I went to a trade school and learned how to become a welder. It's not the same degree as somebody who goes to business school to be an accountant.
Yeah, it's not the same quote unquote degree in one of those fields would simply be somebody telling you their opinions on something and stating it as if it's fact.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Well said, DA.
I like that.
And I'll say this. Let me say this. Like when it comes to Jessica, a lot of people don't believe what she does is real. But let me tell you something. She's hit on a lot of things.
She made a believer out of
me personally.
Me too.
Right, me too. She hit on a lot.
I haven't told her
a lot of things on me. She did a private reading for me.
No, she is legit.
She did a private reading for me that blew me away, blew me out of the water.
So here's something I'm going to say about Jessica Jones.
And there's going to be people out there that can be like, "Oh, she's full of shit." She's not.
No.
There is what she does. Now, I watched her show. She's a good friend of mine, and she's watching right now. So, hey, you're getting your 10 minutes of fame with us tonight.
I know. I love it.
She's
that girl.
She is the real deal enough She did a reading. The story I told earlier about like was my, one of my most scariest encounters. I had her remote view that, and she picked up on things about my life that I've never told anybody, that nobody in this community possibly could have told her. And
Same with me, Matt, when she did mine.
It was absolutely incredible. And so for like, I'm going to put it as part of the film. Like, hey, this is what she found. You can believe it or you cannot, but this is what she's saying she found. And that's that. Because what she found was extremely, extremely interesting.
No, I agree. She did it with me.
She's an awesome person. She's an awesome person, and she's really good at what she does.
Amazing.
She's really good at what she does.
I love you, Jessica.
She's watching. She's like, "What? Come on!" Yeah.
And I get it. I get how people could be skeptical. It's not like she. It's not something that's tangibly like, okay, it's not like she can give you a snippet of what she was able to view, and I think that's kind of the problem with a lot of like mediums and things. Like, I will say that I'm a psychic sensitive. Like, I'm sensitive to that stuff. I have some things that I can do at times that I can't really explain. But it's not something that I actively try to hone in on. It's not something that I try to actively like hone a gift like Jessica has. And I think that's the difference. Jessica is somebody who's taken the time to practice and study and to hone her gifts. And that's why she should get the credit that she's due. She's not just somebody who's trying to, wheel and deal some tarot readings to make a quick buck.
Right.
And no, you're absolutely right.
Like, there's something that she's able to do, and it's unexplainable at times. But somehow she's able, through this unexplainable means, she's able to produce real, tangible facts that she could have never known. Right. So there has to be something to it.
It's not a shell game or the 3-card Monty trick on you. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
she's not doing that. So
Damien K from the audience sent me a couple of images. I'm going to throw those up real quick. These were taken in Ireland. They're not really blown up or super grainy. These are just images he took. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but they're kind of interesting images.
Now that is interesting.
Very much so, and it's not blown up at all. The next one is the more interesting of the two. This one is very interesting. Now, I'll preface this next one by saying, yes, it could be a rock, but the way it's sitting kind of leads me to think it might not be.
Here goes Doc. Doc's putting his glasses on for that one. All right, Doc.
What does that look like to you, Matt?
Looks like a real hairy rock.
Yeah,
that is.
If it's a rock, it's a hairy rock.
Very peculiar.
Yeah, this we're taking in Ireland.
The image is not necessarily blown up super crazy. You can see the depth of it within the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
That is either a very odd hairy rock, or that is some sort of Ewok-looking creature.
Or it could possibly be. It could possibly be crouched. It might be bigger than it looks, because it looks like there's some depth to it too. It might be crouched behind a larger rock.
Yeah, because the rocks the surrounding rocks look very large. I mean,
they're not covered with hair like that one.
No,
It's a leprechaun and
it's a different color too. It's a what?
Is it a leprechaun in a ghillie suit?
Leprechaun in a ghillie suit. Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's the smallest sniper in the world.
Yeah, but I mean that definitely doesn't fit in with it. If you look at the natural surroundings, that doesn't fit.
No.
You know what is
exactly right. And not really paying attention to your surroundings, I could see how you could walk right by that.
Yeah,
but it's interesting that he caught it on film. And this one is still pretty interesting too. I'm not 100% what I'm looking at, but it doesn't look normal.
That's weird. Whatever
know,
that
his
is,
call-
that's
It
weird.
has the appearance of something being strung in a tree. Like, you know how when you kill a deer, you
Yeah.
string it up in a tree.
Right.
It
Yeah.
looks like that, but it also looks like it's attached to the tree.
Right.
Mm.
I
his
find it
call
very
sign-
it's very peculiar.
His call sign is
I-
called Lucky Charms. He's the smallest sniper in the world. Lucky Charms is his call sign. I
Man,
know who you're talking about.
that's
I'm not
that's
going
a
to
weird
upload and share all of these photos, but he just sent me a series of 9 photos of this image that looked like they were taken frame by frame. And it, to me, it looks like it's changed position in these photos. I don't want to upload all of them because it, I'll eat up what I've got left of memory on the StreamYard without having to delete a bunch of pictures.
That's a second photo of the same. I mean, it's a
There's
second.
multiple photos of this same image, and when you look at them, like when I click through them in sequence, it has clearly moved.
Everybody's saying Ewok.
Here, DA, just post
listen,
up
it could be a
DA, post the
puckwudgie.
last put up the last
Bless
photo
you.
of that frame for me.
Okay.
Please.
Let me download
Like
it real
like the
fast.
First photo and the
we
last
all
photo.
know we all know
Yeah.
those suckers are masters of camouflage. You know.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you look at this one and then look at this one, it has moved position.
Yes, it has.
It looks like it's down on its haunches. Like I would estimate it as a much bigger creature, but it's crouched down, possibly on all fours. But it's definitely shifted position.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
The ghillie suit was invented in Ireland and Scotland. I will say that. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean,
that's very interesting.
Flip back to the other pic, DA. Look at that V in the rock, and that's where you can tell that it's shifted to the right, to its right, our left, just a touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's changed position compared to that V.
If you use that V as a reference, it's moved.
Yes,
That's
it
interesting.
has.
Again, can't say what it is.
And we're not
Yeah,
even sure though how deep the water is on the other
Right.
side of those rocks too. I mean, it
Right.
could be in 5
Pretty
feet of
compelling
water.
images.
It could be
Damien-
5 feet of water and it's out of the water 2 feet. It could be 7 feet tall. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
He says those are moss people.
Moss
Listen,
people?
Are
I've
they
actually.
anything like the wood woes?
moss.
That's interesting.
Oh, I've heard of those.
I've never heard of that.
53 comments. I'm way behind now.
Yeah, you are.
Hey, Damien, man, I just want to say that was an interesting array of photos.
I
And
love
thank you
them,
for that.
Damien.
Thank
I
you
like
for
that
that.
they're not super blown up and grainy.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
Yes.
Because that's what makes it. You have to be able to see the depth of,
Right.
Yeah.
of the foreground, the background, and the subject.
right.
99
It's
times
very
out of 100,
important.
somebody sends me a blurry picture, even if it's got a bunch of circles on it, I don't generally see anything. I see hopes and dreams there, but it's usually pareidolia.
That's pretty clear right there. And he said, Damien says they're little fellas. So I'm kind of curious about that, how big they are. So that's interesting.
Well,
That is.
Interesting.
Looks
I've
like a drunk
never
Scotsman.
heard of that. Thank you, Damien.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Hey, yeah, man, you gave us the opportunity to be able to kind of debunk something live, and which is very congruent to what we've kind of been chatting about on and off tonight.
Yeah.
It was perfect because that
I
photograph
agree with
right there
Tyler.
was the perfect subject.
Mm-hmm.
What did
Tyler
Tyler
says it's a
say?
Wookiee. I agree with. He says it's a Wookiee. I agree with that. Sorry.
I'm thinking puckwudgie. I don't know.
That's interesting.
It's definitely something that's not normal. That was
Correct.
not a
I
rock.
agree.
That was
Um,
definitely not a rock.
If that was a rock, that it was that's a very strange rock, and that rock needs to be studied
Yeah.
because there's something very not normal
Yeah.
about that rock.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's
Like I
growing
said,
hair
man,
on it and moving.
Yeah, it's not natural to the environment. So anything that's not natural environment is going to catch your eye, especially if you use that
Yeah.
rock as a point of reference there.
Mhm.
You can see the movement. So that's
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
Thank you so
And
much,
that's the type of
Damien.
And that's the type of stuff we need. Those are the type of photographs we need,
Yes.
not flat, blurry photos. We need stuff that can where we have an object in the in the background and the foreground that where we can measure, we can get data out of the images.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes,
if you're-
Damien. I want to see. Damien just said, "Do you want to see a green man?" I would like to.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
Matt.
I've seen-
Otherwise,
I've
it's
seen
what?
Blue Man. I went
yeah,
to the Blue Man concert. Does that make it? Is that good or not?
I've seen them. I've seen the Blue Man
Yeah.
group in Vegas. They were awesome.
Me too.
They
Yeah,
were great.
fun.
they are.
But I mean, like Matt said, I mean, otherwise, what we're doing right now, we're extrapolating that data. Otherwise, it's strictly conjecture, you know, and that's
Right.
the reason we're all here.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like it a lot.
Me too.
yeah, man. I definitely want to see this green man, and show me the picture because then I'm going to say some things about the green man.
As soon as he sends
that-
it over, I'll get it loaded up there.
The Green Man, and who goes by many different names, has been something that's kind of popped up in some of my investigations.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it has.
Well, Matt, why don't you tell us, please?
Well, it's kind of interesting because like I want to say a lot about it. Like I want to say a lot, but I'm saving that part for the movie.
It's in his documentary. That's why he's not giving it up.
Yeah, that's why I can't give it up because
That's why I gave him the look. I was like,
when you so all right, so like when you guys asked me like, oh, what I do or whatever, and I kind of premised it with like there's a larger phenomenon that's happening behind all these cryptids and things like that. And I personally believe that they are symptoms, that they are a byproduct of this larger phenomena that is trying to get you to notice something and get you interested in, for whatever reason, these more taboo things that we've seemed to have forgotten about. That, when you think about it, have a much longer connection to the earth than we do. So, long story short, the Green Man is also known as the god of the woods, Pan. And Pan, is the only Greek god who ever died, the only god to ever die in any sort of references. There's been a lot of different people who have encountered him and try to do like invocations of him and things like that. Well, I kind of stumbled upon Pan by complete accident. And I had a bunch of different things line up, these synchronicities, if you will, that point you like where evidence will pop up, something interesting in a photo, an event that happens, whatever, series of things popped up that for whatever reason had me looking at Pan in this direction. And, I don't want to really say more than that. I want you guys to be able to see what more of what I'm talking about in depth, because it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. It was not something that I was ever intending to find. It's something that found me, and it hasn't necessarily been a pleasant experience. And I'm going to tell you that right now, and I'm going to give you that forewarning.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. So,
yeah, and that's all I kind of want to say, because there's a lot more to getting involved in these phenomena than you realize at first, and that's at least been my experience, and I can say that has been the experience of a lot of other people, and not just me. You go out in the woods, you're looking for Bigfoot, and the next thing you know, you're seeing orbs, you see a UFO go across the sky, whatever. I know a lot of people who have had those types of experiences.
Right.
When we started our journey, we were thinking, Sasquatch, flesh and blood, period. Flesh and blood.
Yeah, it's got to be flesh and blood, right?
Yeah. And then I don't know. What was it, Matt? 24 hours later, we're like, we don't think it's just flesh and blood anymore. I mean,
No.
but that's also too when you're keeping an open mind, and you're keeping an open mind, and you are looking at all of the data, not just, okay, I found one footprint. All of the data.
Yeah.
If you look
Here's
at
the
all of the
Green Man
data.
photo he sent me.
Oh, great. I want to see
All
this.
right, let's check it out.
Now
that's peculiar.
That is interesting. Wow.
So the one thing that I do want to say about this one in particular, is that it's a little bit more enlarged. There's less to work with, in this photograph than the last ones you sent. But I will say that that's very peculiar, because what bottom of a rock formation would have those types of characteristics? That happening in nature by accident and random is not something that I'd expect to see. So I definitely think that that's something worth looking into further, for sure, man. That's definitely something interesting. I can see the nose, I can see the face, I can see the cheekbone. I want to say that I kind of see some other things around him.
I was going to say that too.
And I also seen an elongated ear coming off of that on the left too. Very cool stuff.
Folks, I did not realize how late it was. We were coming up on the 3-hour mark, and we usually wrap it up at 2. I've had a fantastic time tonight. I really enjoyed talking to both of y'all. We'll definitely need to get you guys back on the show. Again, folks, remember,
anytime.
There are no experts in this field.
No.
You know, anybody that claims to the contrary is either selling you something or trying to sell you a bill of goods. Just remember, your opinions on this matter just as much as ours. We don't know.
Absolutely.
We gather evidence. We study the stories. We look at different pictures. We look at images. We go to places, and we gather and form our own opinions on this. Does that make it right? Maybe not. But right now all we have is opinion and theory until such a time as we've got live specimens to study. And that may not be for many years. I do think we are learning a lot more about cryptids than we have in the previous years. And I think sightings are on the increase. So I think we're going to have a lot more data to work from in the very near future. But that remains to be seen. I think we're going to see a lot more of this type of thing coming along. Make sure you guys go over and check out, NonnaBoss Continuum and the Supernatural Spectrum. Like, subscribe, share their channels. If you enjoyed the kind of content we had tonight, make sure you like, subscribe, share this video as well. We appreciate everybody's support and everybody that's been active in the chat tonight. It's been a fantastic night. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. We will be back with you guys on Wednesday night when we will have the guys from over at the Cryptid. I completely lost the name of the show. The Horror Chronicles. My buddies from over the Horror Chronicles. We're going to be discussing the Akashic Records on Wednesday night. So if you guys will tune in and check that out, it's going to be a great show. And we've had a wonderful time tonight. Remember, folks, stories are journeys that we take together. And I appreciate each and every one of you for taking this journey with us. You guys have been fantastic. It has been an awesome show. Marty, Matt, guys, thank you again for coming on. We had an amazing time, and I would definitely like to get you guys back on sometime.
Anytime.
Guys, Doc, glad you're feeling better, brother. Hope Angie gets to feeling better too.
Thank you.
Guys, kind of say a prayer for her, and Steve's not with us tonight because him and his wife both tested positive for the Black Plague of the 21st century, the Big C. So, keep them in your thoughts and well.
Absolutely.
And as Anthony said earlier, he recently had a loss in his family. So keep your thoughts and prayers for Anthony as well. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Again, thank you guys for being on the show. We had an amazing time, and we will do it again on Wednesday night. Y'all be safe, and remember, just because it hasn't been discovered doesn't mean it's not out there. Absence of proof is not proof of absence. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.